proficient crew, professional thieves looking for a big score. An overly dedicated lawman is looking for them. Two sides of the same coin. Which side of the law will prevail? All this can only mean one thing. We're comparing LA Takedown and Heat on this episode of Retro versus Remake. I'm Reggie Parker.
I'm Dan Farley.
And this is another episode of Retro versus Remake.
Retro. Yes. Yes.
I'm feeling real good about
Oh,
this.
my
I'm
sweet
feeling
Lord.
real good about this.
I feel like I got killed. Walking by doggy.
Doggy.
She had a great ass.
I don't know, sport, slick. What do I got to say? So, on this episode...
Fucking boo.
Boo, boo, boo. On this episode, we are watching LA Takedown.
Oh, LA Takedown. The 1986 classic by first-time director, I believe it was, Michael Mann.
At least on this level. Like, he had done some TV because he did Miami Vice.
He did do Miami Vice.
He did Crime Story.
And by the way, if you are interested in watching Miami Vice, the first episode of Miami Vice, phenomenal.
So good. We did attempt to do a podcast of that one time, but
Yes.
I think we were so fucked up
Yes.
that it didn't...
It wasn't too good, but we did watch it. It was like, this is really good.
By the way, we could do Miami Vice.
We could do that.
Because in this episode, the original movie was technically made for TV.
Yes.
And then they kept like shifting it and moving it. And eventually they were like, all right, we'll make it a film.
Yes.
Well, like Miami Vice, the first episode, is about an hour long. Like, that's basically a movie.
Yeah, it's a solid hour.
And
This movie's only an hour 33.
yes.
LA Takedown.
LA Takedown. Now, what's it called? Heat is 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Yes.
That's
a long movie.
That's a little bit different.
Yeah, somewhere, maybe meet in the middle.
Totally.
Yeah.
That is a little different, but the 2 hour and 50 minutes of Heat, which we'll get into the run times.
Oh, yes.
We'll just get into it. So
Okay.
I'm going to start by breaking down these two films. LA Takedown, the 1989 film, starring Scott Plank, Alex MacArthur, Michael Rooker, Daniel Baldwin, and Xander Berkeley, Elliot Puget, Vincent Gustafaro, Victor Rivers, Richard Chavez, Laura Harrington, and Peter Dobson. Directed by Michael Mann.
Director.
Screenplay by Michael Mann with music by Tim Truman.
Oh, and what a job Tim Truman did. Oh, my God.
Boy, did he.
Boy, howdy. Look out, John Williams. You got competition.
You're right about that. Heat, 1995, starring Al Pacino, Rob De Niro, Val Kilmer, John Voight, Tom Sizemore, Diane Venora, Amy Brenneman, Ashley Judd, Mikkel Williamson, Wes Studi, Ted Levine, Dennis Haysbert, William Fichtner, Natalie Portman, Tom Noonan, Kevin Gage, Hank Azaria, and Susan Traylor.
Yes, and Henry Rollins.
And Henry Rollins. That's
Yes.
good. I'm glad that you included that. That was super
Yes.
necessary. I mean, like, that cast is insane.
Insane. That's an insane cast. And that's Val Kilmer at his hottest.
Yeah.
Like, not looks-wise, which, yes, but he also, like, he couldn't... He's, like, coming off Tombstone and Top Gun and, like, all these other movies that it's like, oh, and now he's in this. And he took the third role. Like, he's not the star of it.
No, and, like, it's very obvious when you watch the film. He's not the star of it.
No.
He's not the star of it, but what he does in his role
Mm-hmm.
is super important to
Mm-hmm.
the entire film. Like, we're gonna get into this a bit, but
Yes, we will.
the first film is about two guys.
Two guys. Yeah.
It like everything else.
It's pretty much inconsequential.
It's about two guys. This remake adds same characters, but gives some backstory. Val Kilmer is one of them.
Yes.
And I think that like by adding that Val Kilmer backstory, it elevates the entire story.
Oh yeah.
Everyone's got skin in the game.
It has stakes. Yeah, the movie has stakes.
The first film is two guys kind of like dick measuring.
Yeah.
The remake is
And keep in mind, not really two guys. It's really one guy. It's Vincent Hannigan. It's Vincent. It's really him.
Yeah.
And then the other guy's there, but it's not like. It's like, oh, it's a Bond villain. It's not like.
That's fair.
It's not like he's like, oh, he might win. You know he's gonna win.
Yeah.
You know Vincent Hannigan's gonna come out with it.
Yeah.
And it. Go ahead. Go on to your next point, but
we'll get into it. So, around. So both films are based on a script written by Michael Mann,
Yes.
who's the director of both films.
both.
I think I did that.
Yes.
Yeah, I did. Sorry.
It's all good.
Michael Mann, who's the director of both films, in 1979, he wrote the script for Heat, or L.A. Takedown, or L.A. whatever the fuck they called it. So he knew this Chicago police officer named Chuck Adamson, who was chasing a guy named Neil McCulley, and basically like Chuck randomly saw Neil like a coffee shop.
Yeah.
And they like interacted, and Chuck ended up killing Neil in like some shootout, and that's the basis of this film. It is a lot more like L.A. Takedown, like LA.
So like they just randomly met,
right?
Like they were. He was. It's like, hey, and like,
yeah.
Can I buy you a cup of coffee?
Like he goes out of his way to buy coffee.
Yes, he pulls him over with a helicopter. Well, he gets the helicopter into a car, follows him in the helicopter, gets in the car, pulls him over. Hey, can I buy you a cup of coffee?
But I love
Which
that
is a shocking waste of resources.
So, well, Heat is about a shocking waste of resources.
Mm-hmm.
If you really break it down.
Yes, the whole thing is for
an
everybody involved.
Insane amount of resources being used for no real goddamn good reason. What I love about that is Michael Mann taking a story, because that's kind of his MO, right? Like, when he talks about the films that he's directed, he's done, he did Mindhunter, which was an episode that we did. We did Mindhunter and...
Manhunter.
Excuse me, yes.
Yes.
He did Manhunter and Hannibal Rising?
Did you do Hannibal?
No. So Michael Mann, a director who did Manhunter,
yes,
which is like the precursor for Red Dragon, and he talks about how when he selects movies that he's trying to find things that are interesting to him. And I think that watching Manhunter, which gave me a real appreciation of one, that script.
For the record, Brian Cox knocks it out of the park in that movie. The only problem in Silence of the Lambs is that Anthony Hopkins kills it more.
Yeah.
It's like, he's so good as Hannibal Lecter, but that's a digression.
It's not, though, because Anthony Hopkins is so good.
Yeah, he's just so much better. But it's like, he does so good, though. Give him a hand.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that, like, what we're seeing here, because Manhunter is a very competent film.
Yeah.
It has really good music, the way it's set. Like, Michael Mann knows how to do crime. And, like, this duality of, like, a villain who's kind of like a hero.
Yeah.
Because when you look at Red Dragon, you look at Manhunter, the main character is fucked up.
Yeah.
Kind of like Al Pacino is in this film.
Yeah.
And the villain is just as fucked up, but he happens to be on the wrong side of the law.
Yeah.
When you talk about Miami Vice, Crime Story, in this case, L.A. Takedown or Heat, Michael Mann really knows how to portray someone who is actually not necessarily the best person.
Yeah.
But happens to be on the right side of the law.
Yeah.
And this movie nails that in a lot of ways as well. Like,
well, it's kind of interesting when you see the, like, it's almost like you take, it's someone who they're both like chaotic characters
Yes.
in of themselves, like, but it's like that what's his name? Robert De Niro's character.
Macaulay.
Macaulay.
Guy told me one time, don't let yourself get attached to anything you are not willing to walk out on in 30 seconds flat if you feel the heat around the corner.
Macaulay. I keep wanting to say McNulty. It's not McNulty. Macaulay, and he's a bad guy.
He is.
But he's not really that chaotic as a character himself.
No,
the only thing that's chaotic about him is that he's a criminal. But he also knows that he's a criminal, so his discipline is that he doesn't have any vices, really. He doesn't have a family. He doesn't gamble. He doesn't drink.
Sure.
He doesn't drink throughout the entire movie.
No,
he doesn't smoke. He doesn't even have like a TV in his house.
Well,
and that's his discipline. That's what makes him like really compelling. It's like, yes, I'm doing all this, but I know how bad this is, and that I could leave at any time. Whereas almost Vincent Hannon's he has no discipline. He's disciplined. He's dedicated, but he's not disciplined at all. His life. He's got a wife. He's got the stepdaughter. He's got friends who are cops and stuff like that. That are all going to shit because he's just like driven. But he's not. He has all these other things, and there's also the underlying thing that was cut out of the movie that he. If you guys don't recognize Al Pacino's erratic acting in the movie, it's because he was supposed to be a cokehead.
Sure.
The movie was written as him being just doing cocaine throughout the entire movie.
That makes sense.
So it makes so much more sense when you see like he's like like ready to go. And
I think that when you look at the Macaulay character that De Niro plays, that is also played
by what's his name? No name, because he's in nothing else. And if you see him acting, no shock why.
Yeah. Alex MacArthur, who plays
P.U.
Patrick McLaren instead of Macaulay.
You must have worked some pretty bad off crews.
I worked all kinds.
You see me doing thrill seeker liquor store holdups with a born to lose tattoo on my chest?
No.
Right. And I am never going back.
P.U.
I think you're making a good point that the Macaulay he's got everything together.
Yeah.
It's tight.
Everything's tight.
And he's very serious about his job. Like, the only fault that you could give him is that he actually had a relationship with a woman.
Yeah, that's really
his biggest fault.
It wasn't, though. That wasn't.
Yeah.
The biggest fault. Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that
because you and I were discussing this a little earlier, and I held back in the conversation because I wanted to wait for this.
We'll come back to that.
Yes.
But yeah, no, you're making a good point that Al Pacino is actually the more chaotic character.
Absolutely.
Whether it's in the original film or the remake, that character is more chaotic.
Yes.
Than our actual criminal.
Yeah.
Who has basically an itinerary. He knows what he's doing. He's keeping his crew together. And honestly, when things go awry, he's so upset because the crew that he's used to working with are professionals and they cause him no problem.
Yeah.
The biggest problem in this film is that he happens to have employed someone that's outside of his ranks.
Waingro,
who we'll talk about.
Ooh, Waingro. Talk about over-the-top villains.
Yeah.
How do we make him worse? I got it. Let's make him a serial killer. Oh, I got it. He kills hookers. Oh,
Yeah.
I got it. Then we see the dichotomy that, it's a girl who's dead, and then her family's there, and it's their daughter. Oh, I got it. That connects to Vincent, because Vincent's got a stepdaughter who's uncared for, and she might end up like that.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. It's like, how much more can we add to this guy?
Right.
Anyway. And who just happens to get it? The guy working the case of the other job that he's working.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, if we're gonna get into all this, let's
Before we gotta defer anything further, can we just establish? I want to establish for the audience what kind of cop is Al Pacino in this movie.
Before we get there,
Okay.
let's start even earlier. Dan, what's your first experience with?
First experience with this movie is, for me, it was very built up. I think it came out in 1995.
That's right.
And was Heat. It was Heat. I did not know L.A. Takedown existed. I knew when the movie came out, there was so much buzz about this movie. Because number one, Casino came out right before this.
That's a great point.
It came out right at like the same time. So everyone's like, oh, Scorsese and De Niro are in this movie, and it's their first movie they made since Goodfellas together. And you're like, oh shit, this is gonna be crazy.
Sure.
And then Heat comes out, and you're like, wait a minute, Al Pacino and in the previews for it, you saw the scene with Al Pacino in the diner, them talking to each other.
Yeah.
So they're in the same scene. You're like, holy shit, what's going on here? And then you see like the shootout in the car and everything like that. So, I know Al Pacino and Robert De Niro were in Godfather 2 together, but they don't share any scenes. So, and then this happens, and forever, the big debate is who was the better actor.
Who's the better actor?
Al Pacino or Robert De Niro.
I've long been like the De Niro guy, but at the same time, there's a lot I love about Al Pacino.
Listen, I will say, after this movie, there's a few roles that Robert De Niro is amazing in, and he's great, but there are some stinkeroos. And the stinkeroos far outweigh the Meet the Fockers and shit like that. And they're like Men of Honor. They're like, oh God, you're just doing this for the paycheck. And when Pacino does some like really interesting stuff, like he goes to like Donnie Brasco after this, which he just plays like a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And like there's no slickness to him, but he thinks he's slick and he's not at all. And then I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, What About Jack? You don't know Jack?
Okay.
About Jack Kevorkian?
Yeah.
He's phenomenal
really
in that
he's really
movie.
good
He's so like talking. This is all in the period of, hey, I'm Al Pacino, like yelling and everything. But in like that, he's so quiet
like
and
the
so
Devil's
little.
Advocate,
The Devil's Advocate. But then De Niro has like Sleepers, and then like analyze that, and then
Cape Fear.
analyze this.
You know,
Yeah. Well, Cape Fear's before this.
No, I get that, but I think that.
But I think Robert De Niro has the better run before this movie, with the exception of, and then again, because he's great in Godfather too. But he has the better run before this movie, and then after Al Pacino, I think has the better run.
Yeah, that's actually really fair because I do think that De Niro's just filmography, as it were, falls off after this period, and Al Pacino has been pretty consistent and takes interesting work. Like, I think there's this element where De Niro has to be so cool.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of holding him back.
Yeah.
You know?
I could see, I guess a little bit, except in the fact, well, don't get me wrong, Al Pacino is exactly that in this movie. Like, like walking around like, hello, baby. Like slicking his hair back and shit. You're like, okay. You're 62 years old.
I don't want to spoil anything, but De Niro is stronger in this film than Pacino.
Well, look, yes, he is. Because, again, much more erratic behavior that it seems so, like, out of nowhere because he's not on cocaine in the movie where he's supposed to be.
That, if you're giving me the context like you actually are, that he's supposed to be on coke, then actually,
Yeah, but I will say this about this movie, and I was thinking about it while I was watching L.A. Takedown, even though, because you can't help but compare the two.
Sure. Same movie.
And when I was watching, when you watch Heat, I noticed this because that was always the debate, who was better, Pacino or De Niro. I'm going to go De Niro, and I'll tell you why. Because in this movie specifically, Robert De Niro could play either one of those roles. Like if you had a True West type of thing, where like they switched roles, Robert De Niro could do both seamlessly. Al Pacino could not be.
I'd be bummed if Al Pacino was playing the De Niro.
Yeah.
Because De Niro just has that. He's so buttoned up.
Yeah, he's so buttoned. He could play like the stern, but he could also be like I'm fucking coming.
Well, when you talk about
get you.
Two sides of the same coin, right? Like, they both could be that guy. Mm-hmm. But De Niro is so clearly cool and collected.
He's very calm.
Pacino's so, I'm not okay.
Yeah, except in the diner scene.
Sure.
That's the only time when it's like, this is acting.
Yeah.
I think
I think Bobby still kind of gets it. So yeah, no, this movie opens up that debate of De Niro versus Pacino in a way that.
But my first introduction to L.A. Takedown, which it hit me a revelation while I was watching this movie. I don't remember his name. The guy that plays Vincent Hanna in L.A. Takedown. It doesn't matter. But I was looking him up. I was like, this guy looks so familiar to me. Why do I know him? And I looked up. What?
Scott Plain.
Scott Plain.
And if I'm there when you're coming out of a score, I'll blow you out of your socks. I won't like it, but I won't think twice about it. Because if the wife of some poor bastard you kill is going to be made into a widow, or you're going to go down, brother, hey, you're going to go down.
I know he died in a car accident in like 2004. He's died at like 43. And so I was like, oh, he's dead. That's crazy. He was young. And I was like, why do I know it? Like, he's in something. Turns out when I was a boy, I was not allowed to watch Terminator 2. And I was like 9 years old or whatever, 10 years old.
Sure.
And because it was rated R, it was violent, they wouldn't let me watch it. But it was on Showtime one night. And I taped it. And I snuck down, put a tape in the VCR, taped it, and I didn't know how to set the timer. So the tape just ran all night. And taped Terminator 2, and then after Terminator 2, there was a little show called Red Shoe Diaries.
I remember Red Shoe Diaries.
Yes, Red Shoe Diaries, starring David Duchovny.
Yeah.
For those of you at home that don't know this show, fantastic television show. I highly recommend it. It is a compilation of basically penthouse letters that they write David Duchovny, and it's softcore porn. And I saw that. That was the first time I ever saw like porn in my life. Was Red Shoe Diaries after Terminator 2. I was like, oh my God, what is this? And in that moment, I knew I wasn't gay. And when that happened, I was like, oh man. And who is the male lead of that episode? Scott Plain. And I was like, holy shit, that's like, oh my God. That was, my mind was blown the fuck away. And now, then somehow it was morphing in my head because I was thinking about those sex scenes and he's in it. He's like moaning like, oh yeah. And then that morphed in my head to Al Pacino having those sex scenes. Like, oh yeah. Because there was like the whole premise is like he goes in, the maid's there and she dresses as his wife and he goes in and fucks the maid but he thinks it's his wife and he's like, oh no.
Well, the movie opens with Scott Plain and basically a softcore
porn. And it looks...
It looks like a softcore porn.
Yes, it does.
We'll get it.
Yes.
So, we're just telling me...
So that was my first real introduction to that guy. I was like, oh shit. That's where I know him from. So that was like fucking years before, you know? So...
You saw Heat when? Like...
I saw Heat when... I didn't see it in the movie theater.
Sure.
Because I was too young to go see it. But I saw it when it came out. I definitely rented that from Blockbuster.
That's fair.
And it was a double VHS.
That's fair. I saw Heat, I was on like a Val Kilmer kick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Tombstone, hell, Eagleheart.
Yeah. Eagleheart.
All kinds of shit. And
Willow.
Willow, that's a good call. I was very, for whatever reason, for a while, I was obsessed with Val Kilmer. Even to this day. Like, Top Gun just came out, Val Kilmer happens to be in it. Great. Heat is just one of those dude bro films. Like, you be sitting in the college campus, sipping on some, I don't know, Everclear, talking to your boys, watching Heat.
And all of a sudden, like, or you're like walking by and like your boys are watching it, and you're just walking by in like the kitchen, and all of a sudden it's about to be the bank robbery scene. And you're like, oh, I'm staying for this.
It's always about to be the bank robbery scene.
Yeah, it's about to be the bank robbery scene. Or, like, there's a couple of them that you're like, oh, well, I gotta see the diner scene.
Sure.
I gotta see that.
They're all very good scenes, and I just think that as a heterosexual male in the year 20 whatever, like
Year of our Lord. Exactly.
Like, I saw Heat, and just the Heat, always thought it was cool because that's just dudes, bros. We think it's cool. L.A. Takedown had never really heard of it.
Yeah.
And when I found out that you could basically just watch this on YouTube.
Yes, and you can. It's for free, without ads, on YouTube.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll check this out. Cool that the script is very similar. I mean, it's no same script.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But
yeah, same lines.
Heat is just one of those iconic films.
It's done so much better.
I think that to get your like man card, as it were, right? Not to be problematic. Heat's on the list. It's one of those things you got to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I will be 100% honest that people love Heat. I love Heat for. There's a lot of problems with Heat. There's a lot of problems, and there's a lot of things I don't like about Heat.
Sure.
There's a lot that I'm like, ugh. Like, I don't know, and it's a kid. It's consistent for all Michael Mann movies for me, kind of. I don't, especially crime movies. I don't like how everything works out the way it should.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who likes the bad guy to win. I'm a big fan of that. If ever there was a bad guy that's gonna win, two guys dressed exactly the same and look kind of the same, Robert De Niro in Heat should have got away. And Tom Cruise in Collateral should have killed Jamie Foxx.
That's true. Michael Mann movie.
Michael Mann, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Mann
Michael Mann movies, they kind of work out the way they're like. Everything's great at the end.
Yeah, but like depends on who you're asking, right? Like when you watch films like that, the villain, I guess because they're the villains, to your point, they don't win.
They don't win.
But they should.
They should.
Because Al Pacino has to deal with the law.
Yeah.
And all the parameters of like, can I get this warrant? Can I, as a prosecutor, can I solve this case?
Yeah.
And De Niro doesn't have to deal with that.
He doesn't at all.
Although
I would make the argument Al Pacino doesn't either.
That's true.
This movie.
That's true. Al Pacino is basically doing whatever the fuck he wants.
Yes.
But no, I get what you're saying. That a lot of times when you watch films like this with these crime dramas, that you're looking at it and you're saying, "Oh, the good guy winning doesn't feel great," because yeah, I think you're right. The bad guy probably should win. He's more competent in this film.
By far more competent. He's the one who gives up everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one who plans everything. He's the one who is willing to risk the time. He knows but it's also filmmakers out there. If you're going to write a movie where the bad guy wins, it infinitely makes your movie that much better.
Sure.
There's so many... the spoiler alert, a movie no one's seen, it's called Arlington Road, with Jeff Bridges and Tim Robbins. Tim Robbins is a bomber, moves in next to Jeff Daniels. The whole time you think Jeff Bridges is going to stop him at the end. Spoiler alert, he does not stop him. He blows up, and Tim Robbins gets away. That movie's not very good. Until you see the end and you're like, holy shit.
Right.
This movie's amazing. Because he doesn't win. Because the bad guy wins. If De Niro killed Pacino in the end of this movie would be my top 5 movies of all time.
Yeah. But, that shadow catching, we'll talk about that. So, given that, I guess we can get into the synopsis, right?
Yes.
The synopsis of either film is that there is a Los Angeles robbery homicide sergeant who's on the trail of a gang of ruthless professional criminals led by a methodical leader whose only mistake is that during a certain heist, an armored car is robbed and one of the people in his crew kills the guards of that
of the armored car.
Of the armored car. That Waingro. Who's
Waingro.
consistent in both films, right? Because this happens, our Los Angeles homicide detective is able to kind of follow a series of clues, chase him down. Both characters, whether it's our main villain or villain's not even really the right word.
Antagonist.
Or antagonist, or the
or protagonist, depending on who you're
depends on who you're asking.
Both sides of the same coin.
Both sides of the same coin. Because of this, our LAPD officers are able to kind of follow this crew, chase him down, try to get clues. Meanwhile, he's being thwarted by this very professional gang the entire time.
Yes.
And even when the LAPD is trying to surveil them, the gang is able to do a pretty good job of surveilling them as well. Both characters, whether you're the main guy, again, two sides of the same coin, or
the hero or anti-hero.
Again, depending on
who you are.
where you fall. Both of them have relationship issues that they have to work through.
Yes.
And it's actually causing a strain on their ability to do their jobs professionally.
Yes.
While all this internal drama in their relationships is happening, basically their lives are falling apart. They're still pursuing their goals, whether that's chasing the villain or not chasing the villain. And our villain is just a bit of a step ahead
Yes.
of the LAPD. He's going for one last score. One last goddamn score. And before that can happen, there's a bank robbery. There's all kinds of shit happening.
Well, that's the last score. The bank robbery.
It is.
Yeah.
So both of these guys are dealing with the same sort of relationship problems.
Mm-hmm.
Are antagonists, as it were.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
Yeah, Robert De Niro. Let's
Robert
Robert
De
De
Niro.
Things take a turn for the worse when that antagonist tries to kill Waingro. And because of this, because Waingro is a cowboy, because of this, Waingro betrays the team, tells basically the entire plan of their heist, the entire plan of how they're going to get out. And because that's relayed to our protagonist, it creates an entire set of events that we have to deal with. Our antagonist, rightfully so, goes for revenge. This revenge plot causes the antagonist to get sloppy. And the entire idea of his credo, motto, is that when the heat's on, you gotta be able to step away.
In 30 seconds or less. Or flat. 30 seconds flat.
Because
the heat coming around the corner.
Correct. Because he's got his relationship with his woman. Because he has this, again, rightful revenge plot. It clouds his judgment. It allows the protagonist to get a bit of an edge on him. And by the end of the film, we're looking at two sides of the same coin. And the good side ends up winning out the day. And it all really comes down to the fact that the rules weren't followed to a T
Yes.
by our villain. Or antagonist. Villains, again, a loose word. But ultimately, again, there's a cop, there's a bad guy. The bad guy's pretty goddamn good. The cop recognizes that. The bad guy pulls off his plan as well as you could, but because of personal issues, he makes mistakes that the cop's able to capitalize on, and ultimately, our villain is taken down by the cop. And really, in both scenarios, both of them are dealing with personal issues. The villain ends up losing the day because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what both these films are about. We're really gonna give you a good idea of what actually goes down in both these films, but that's the general big tent idea of how these films work.
Yes.
Do you think I should add anything, or is it something?
No, that's about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's. I mean, there's more to. There's more to. We will get into.
Certainly.
But there's more. That's basically the synopsis of the entire movie. Yes, I would say that all good is not evil. All evil is not evil, and all good is not good.
Sure.
So.
Sure. So, with that being said, I think it's very important that we break down our protagonist, antagonist.
Yeah, we'll just say,
Which
you know.
flips.
Yeah, but you know who it is.
Yeah. So,
Good guy, bad guy.
in the 1989 film, we've got Scott Plank, who plays Vincent Hanna.
Maybe. Maybe not.
Who's a sergeant of detectives working for the LAPD.
Red Shoe Diaries.
Red Shoe Diaries.
Rest in peace.
We got Alex MacArthur, who's playing Patrick McLaren.
Yeah. So then you and me, we should both go do something else, pal.
Who's a professional robber and the head of his own gang of criminals. In the remake...
That's fucking awful. Go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
In the remake, we've got Al Pacino playing Lieutenant Vincent Hanna.
Hooah!
My life? No, my life.
know, my life's a disaster zone. I got a stepdaughter so fucked up because her real father's this large-type asshole. I got a wife. We're passing each other on the downslope of a marriage, my third. Because I spend all my time chasing guys like you around the block. That's my life.
And Robert De Niro playing Neil McCauley.
These shoes.
You see me doing thrill-seeker liquor store holdups with a Born to Lose tattoo on my chest?
No, I do not.
Right. I am never going back.
Then don't take down scores.
I do what I do best. I take scores. You do what you do best, trying to stop guys like me.
When you break down these two films, it is about these two characters.
Yes, absolutely.
No question. No question. It's the LAPD versus this like high-profile gang.
It's not even. I don't even think it's not really. It's basically two leaders of two gangs.
That's a great point because
It's just
they
two
move
guys
with immunity.
that respect each other, but they're not going to stop. They have to. You have to play the game, and who's going to play the game better? And frankly, there's two parts of it. It's almost like a Rocky III situation.
Sure.
Because we were discussing, what was your big qualm about the bank heist?
My big qualm about the bank heist is that the way that, again, let's be honest,
Yes.
the way that Al Pacino, because really when we break down these two films, we're mostly talking about Heat.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about Heat.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I could talk about LA Takedown all day.
Good.
I could talk about it for hours just shitting on this movie.
When I look at the bank heist,
Yes, the bank heist, which is, I mean, acting-wise, the coffee shop scene is amazing.
Sure,
It's a masterclass in acting. But the bank heist scene is
it's the money
action
shot.
is one of the best action scenes, nonstop. Like, this is awesome scenes with no CGI.
Yeah. I think my biggest qualm about the bank heist scene, though, is Al Pacino's response is irresponsible.
Yes.
Like, there's a bank heist happening. You know all the players. You literally know all the players. He's so obsessed with getting this bust that he's like, let's use all of our resources to stop it. The mid-heist. By the way, the heist is already over. Like, they stole the money. They're getting in the car, and his response is, let's get them in the car. Well, when you do that, there's collateral damage.
Yes.
And that word collateral damage actually just jumped out at me. Both of these films are about the collateral damage of the lives of these two men.
Yes.
Whether it's their families, their careers, their psyche. Their credo, their personal motivation has caused collateral damage.
Correct.
That
It's the same. What you're talking about, this is what you were saying before,
Sure.
that I held back. The flaw is the same thing. That the flaw,
Exactly the same
they are both obsessed with. De Niro could walk away. He doesn't need to kill Wayne Grove.
No.
He does not need to do that. But because he did that, fuck him. So he goes back and does it, goes against his principles, and does it. Al Pacino can't stand, both of them can't stand so much that someone would beat them.
Yes.
That they go back, they do something completely out of their irrational. That's what makes it compelling.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're doing this, you're like, oh, he should never have gone there and shut up. Yeah, he shouldn't have. And he probably won't be a cop after this because of that.
Yeah.
Because of so many people getting killed, which is a big L for Al Pacino.
Yes.
And so that's what I'm saying. It's like a Rocky III situation. He loses in the beginning. Well, the middle of the movie.
No, he loses.
He loses that bank heist. He kills Tom Sizemore, but he loses.
Yeah.
And he wins at the end.
But even like if you break it down and someone says, why are there 7 to 8 dead cops?
Yes.
His answer's not good enough.
No, it's not. By all rationale, what should happen, why McCulley, the character itself, should get away with all of that money, and he capitalized on the flaw because that Vincent has. Because if Vincent lets him go, he doesn't get away because he doesn't know the heat's there.
Right.
He doesn't know that he knows where he lives and blah, blah, blah.
Sure, sure.
But now he knows scot-free gone. He is gone. He is not sticking around. And Vincent lost. But now, the only reason why... So he capitalizes on his flaw. And then Al Pacino capitalized on Robert De Niro's flaw on the same respect. Well, it just cost him his life instead of money.
It said... So...
But either way, the loss is there.
Yes. It's stated so out in the open, like in both films, the idea is that our only chance is if this guy tries to get the guy who wronged him.
Yes.
Because Al Pacino or... Sorry?
Vincent Hanna? Scott Plain?
Scott Plain. Al Pacino and Scott Plain both know they're done.
Yeah.
They didn't solve this case.
No. They lost.
They lost.
Yeah.
They lost big.
Big time, yeah.
The only way we're going to catch this guy.
And they lost like most of their crew, if not all of them.
Yeah.
Like all their like like the cops, but everyone's dead.
But see, again, going back to this villain hero sort of deal, if you lose a bunch of cops, it's a problem.
That's a huge problem.
If you lose a bunch of, criminals, it's a problem, but like that's just charges to the game.
Yeah, they're
right.
No one's holding up memorials for them. There's no college funds with their names on them.
Even the villains, quote unquote, the criminals know the risk.
Yeah.
And they're willing to take the risk.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire film, they're like, we're okay with taking this risk.
Yeah.
Whether it's about the main guy's motivation or, convincing him, they're just criminals.
Yeah.
He just happens to be the best at it.
He's the best criminal, yeah.
He's better at being a criminal than the cops are being cops.
Yes. Correct.
All day.
All day.
No question about that.
Yeah.
But like what I love about both of these films, because at the end of the day, they're the same film with actors of different capabilities.
In
a budget.
A much better budget.
Yeah. Heat has a very strong budget, which is how you get Al Pacino and Robert De Niro and not Scott Plank and Alex McCarthy.
Yes. Because, they're like, we want to redo this movie, and then they're like, well, look at this. Well, we're not going to greenlight this. What if Al Pacino and Robert De Niro were in it?
Yes.
We're listening.
Right. Ain't throwing Val Kilmer for fucking shits and gigs, man.
Yes.
Like, I love how good this script is, whichever film you're talking about. The fact that we are talking about these two guys as this duality, as this flip of the coin, right? Like Al Pacino's character being like so obsessed with his job, that he's willing to let his entire marriage fall to shit, and he does. Yeah, he does. Lieutenant Vincent Hanna, in both films, does not care.
That also makes you think, who's really more detrimental? You're talking about a guy who, let's look at them, let's say they're both savage drunks.
Sure.
Savage drunks.
Sure.
They both cause problems at the bar. They both, no matter what, but they both are within their legal limits. They're both legally doing everything correct.
Sure.
They tip, they do everything. But Vincent Hanna's the guy that drives home drunk. Whereas McCulley doesn't.
Right.
That's what it is. He's disciplined in the fact of like, no, I just won't have a family.
Right. But like, that's the thing, right? That is kind of life, right? That people give credence, benefit, the benefit of doubt to the good guy.
Yeah. Because he's doing the right thing.
Right? It's this is controversial, but like when as a society we're really up on cops, we're really up on like veterans and stuff like that. We're like, oh man, they can't do any wrong. Even when they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Right? Like Vincent Hanna is not a good person.
No, he's not. You don't want to be married to that guy.
No, he's a bad guy. He's on his third marriage.
Third marriage, yeah.
Right? Now,
he's not a bad guy. He's just he's bad at living
bad
his
at
life.
that.
He's
right,
bad at that
right.
part of his life.
Like, that guy should have chosen
Yeah.
to be single.
Exactly.
The same way
he did.
Right. De Niro's character chose...
Reflections.
Yeah.
The whole thing is reflections of each other.
Reflection.
And the other one tries, LA Takedown tries to make that picture. It does not succeed in doing that.
No,
it does it, but it's so much more about Vincent Hanna than it is about Patrick McCluskey or whatever his fucking name is in that movie.
Yeah.
But don't even look it up. It doesn't matter.
No, it's McLaren.
McLaren
versus McCulley.
Yeah,
right?
It's those fucking mix. Anyway, but they don't do a proper job of that, and like even their meeting, it's not, the whole thing is like not good.
No,
it's very clunky and very like not organic, and it's
yeah. So I mean, just breaking down what you're saying right here, because ultimately we usually like compare actors and stuff like that. Scott Plank and Alex MacArthur.
There's one comparison. We could skip this entire thing.
Sure.
The only person that's better in this movie, in a LA Takedown, is Vincent Hanna's wife.
Okay, yes.
That's it.
Yes.
Not only is she's better looking, she's I think a better actress.
I would just get to that.
Like she has more of an argument.
Okay, so that's Ellie Puget, who plays Lillian Hanna in the 1989 film, television show, whatever the hell. And she's Vincent Hanna's estranged wife. In the remake.
Are they married? They never. I don't think they ever say in LA Takedown that they're married.
I think you're right. I don't think
they definitely assume.
I don't think they actually do. I believe in the remake, that's Diane Venora as Justine Hanna.
Yes.
I will say this, right? Like, it's been very easy, because we've been talking about this throughout the day, to say that the things that Heat does better than LA Takedown, which is most things.
98%, I think.
I think that the relationship between the Hannas in the original film is better.
Is better, yes.
I think that when you're looking at a character like Ellie Puget's Lillian Hanna, the way that they interact feels more natural.
Yes.
I think that there's a scene that happens in the original film, show, whatever the hell you want to call it. It doesn't happen in the remake. That's stronger. Like when Vincent and her are out at like some like salsa club or something like that.
That movie. They rush through so much of that fucking movie. Mm-hmm. Everything's so rushed and clunky and everything.
Because they have a TV show.
Yes, but they have 5 minutes to show them salsa dancing. Like do a full salsa dance.
It's pretty good salsa.
Yeah,
I mean, we just came back from a waltz from True Lies, so like
that's fun. Yeah, but it's
I was
like
for that.
But it's True Lies. It was much more seamless. Yeah. This was like, am I still watching them dance? Like, what are we doing here?
No, I get that. What I love about that scene, though, is, to me, that felt like that moment that Vincent and McLaren or McCluskey, whatever, felt similar, because the way that Scott Plank reacts in the original film. There's some guy randomly dancing with his wife.
And by the way, she's dancing right back with him.
She's certainly dancing
with him.
Which, in the remake, you can see scenes where, like, she's getting dressed up to go out on dates and stuff like that.
She's fucking someone else.
Right. Now, this is controversial, but I have to say, right? When I'm watching the remake of with Heat, when I'm looking at Diane Venora's character, and she's like giving Al Pacino a hard time, which, you know, somewhat rightfully so, but also her daughter's scene after scene, which I think weakens her character.
Yes.
By the way,
Natalie Portman.
Yes, Natalie Portman. Scene after scene, her dad doesn't show up. She's sad, and by the end of the movie, she tries to offer something.
Her actual father, Vincent Hanna's not her father.
Right. Her actual father, who gives a fuck, right?
Yeah.
But like, Vincent Hanna is a stepfather that is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
Yes.
Because...
More than the mother.
Yes. In one of the early scenes, you see the daughter who's like, I can't find my blue beret. And the mother's like, well, what are you worried about? And she starts freaking out.
Yeah.
Because she's not going to be able to find her blue beret. She might miss her father, who's not coming.
Yes.
Right? You've got Natalie Portman's character as a daughter who's thinks her dad might not let her down.
Yes.
And who's going to let her down.
Going to.
You have Vincent Hanna, who's not necessarily a great guy.
But he's a good role model.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who's upset,
Yes.
rightfully so, that this scumbag
Yeah.
is going to let this girl down time and time again.
Yeah, and maybe he's not the best father in the world, but guess what? He's not her father.
Exactly. And to have Diane Venora being like, this is where I think LA Takedown is better.
Yes, correct. I'm with you.
Because them getting into a fight at the salsa club
Yes.
is not that big of a deal.
Yes.
To me, right? Like, okay, the guy hit on her and maybe you could have, like, relaxed.
Yes.
But, like, he was defending her.
Yes.
He was saying, this dude can't just call you whatever the fuck he wants.
Yes.
And he punched the guy and she was like, why would you do that?
He did more than punch her. He beat the shit out of her.
He did, rightfully so. In my opinion, rightfully so, because he said, that's not a piece of ass. That's Lillian.
Mm-hmm.
That's my wife. Right?
My wife.
I wish that scene was in Heat, because I think Al Pacino would have crushed that scene too.
Yeah.
And that scene felt like it made him more like the villain. Right?
Yeah, because he went excessive on the guy.
Yes. This cop who enforces the law was willing to beat the shit out of some guy.
Yeah.
With no question. Right? Now, you compound that with the fact that Vincent Hanna in this...
He's a workaholic and
right.
obsessive.
But he's not a bad dad.
He's not a bad dad. Yeah.
Right? Like, he sees the kid on the street, he's like, hey, what are you doing? She's like, oh, I wanted to be by myself.
Yeah.
Picks her up, right? When she tries to off herself.
Yeah, she tries to, spoiler alert, tries to kill herself,
Yeah.
slits her wrist in the bathtub.
Saves her.
Saves her life.
The whole time he's taking all this shit for not being good enough.
Yes.
He's the best father
This kid
that
had.
kid's ever had.
Yes.
Ever had.
Yes.
And the wife is saying, I don't know why I'm even with you. I'm sorry.
I fucking do.
Well, maybe go back to this fucking loser.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that to me personifies Vincent Hanna. I don't think the movie is actually trying to do this, but like, in my head, I'm like, you cannot fault Vincent Hanna.
Yes. And then, also, I will double down with you. Mm-hmm. When she gets caught cheating,
Yeah, well.
he walks in and says, like, oh, no, sit down. By all means. He's mad at her. Every other guy in the universe, with the exception of maybe me, would be like, I'm fucking this guy up, like he does in LA Takedown.
Yes. Yes.
And he's like, no, stay. And just walks in, grabs his TV, like, you're just not watching my TV. Because I'm leaving.
But here's the thing, though. What's even more infuriating, see, what I actually think both of these movies do well, is they take these superior kind of, like, height of whatever their thing is, whether you're a hero or villain, characters, and makes them dudes.
Yeah.
Right?
Grounded.
Like we're two dudes, right?
Yes.
Like,
flawed.
I agree, right? I've spent the last however many years, it doesn't matter how many, taking care of you and your daughter.
Yeah.
You bring the loser who never shows up.
But that's not her father that she cheats on.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But like,
I think it's just some guy.
okay, that's fine. That's fine. I read it wrong. But I mean, what more do you?
Yeah. What do you want? It's like, okay, you want to spend time with him. Yeah. Okay.
But see.
But that's where the expansion of that in Heat really hurts that argument. Like
Yes.
in LA Takedown, I get it.
Oh no, she's 100% the right.
Yeah, she's
in LA
100%
Takedown.
in the right.
In LA
Like
Takedown, he's fucking
he
up.
can be violent. Like he's never paying attention to her. It's like, okay, then she could leave.
But
like
there's no skin in the game.
There's no skin in the
It's
game.
just them two.
Yeah, it's like, okay, then get out of there. So there's no daughter in LA Takedown.
I'm fine with her being like, I'm out.
Yeah.
LA Takedown.
And his argument again, is also much more sound when there's not a kid at home.
Sure.
Like in LA Takedown. He's like, listen, I'm not going to be that guy that's going to be there on, Sunday afternoons and
Sure.
be home by
Sure.
5 p.m.
Sure. Now, you are right about that. LA Takedown, he's got a much better argument.
Yeah.
But
so does she.
In that film, though, right, maybe it's my own personal bias, I actually feel what he's saying is that, like, when we first hooked up,
Yeah.
and that's what it all comes down to, like, again, no matter what you're seeing, the fact that he has that line in both films
Yes.
means that you knew I was a detective for the LAPD.
And you knew what kind of detective I was.
What type of shit I was getting into. And she's like, I wish. And it was like, it's all fucked up out here. She's like, I want you to come home and tell me about your day. You want me to tell you about a baby being like
a junkie, because it wouldn't stop crying.
Like, but that's real. Like, I get that. And that's actually what both these films do really well.
Yes.
Vincent Hanna is not a great...
He's not a great husband. Or whatever.
But he's a good cop.
He's a good
because
cop. But in Heat, it lessens her argument because he's a much better guy. You know?
He's a better guy.
He's a better guy than he is
stepfather.
than he is in LA Takedown.
Right.
He's not that great of a guy.
No, in LA Takedown, he's never present.
He's never present.
He's demanding, and when
he doesn't have a TV stand, they just have the TV lying on the ground in their bedroom next to the bed. Who could watch that?
That's true.
And it's on.
But like when he's at the club and the guy's dancing with his girl.
Yeah.
First of all, I get punching that fucking guy because I probably would do that too. But like he doesn't really have a good argument for why he did it.
No.
Right? Like when she was like, I appreciate you, and she's just so reasonable.
Yeah.
In LA Takedown.
Yeah.
In a way that you don't. Again,
you
going
don't
back
have
to
do
your
that. You already won.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You already got him.
Yeah.
And then he went back to finish it.
Yeah.
In his book, but like I agree with her. They're like, no, it was done. Like
it was over. What are you doing?
You know what I mean? And he was like, what
you unnecessarily assaulted someone.
Sure. But like, I like that about Vincent Hanna in the original film because that shows me why he's like Patrick.
Yeah.
He is volatile, violent, dangerous.
Yeah.
They both are in both films, but like, I don't know, like
he's just not as restrained as Vincent as McLaren is.
Right. Like Al Pacino never crosses that line.
He doesn't.
He may cross some like ethical police lines, but he never crosses the like, I'm a dude willing to throw it all away.
Yeah.
In a moment.
And
I actually think that Scott Plank's character is stronger in the relationship scenes, and it makes him feel a lot more like Patrick in those scenes.
I disagree.
Okay. Sure.
Because, well, first of all, the Patrick scenes in LA Takedown, his relationship scenes are
sparse,
horrid.
Yeah.
When they're there, it's like, why are these people here together? This doesn't
point.
make any sense.
That's a good point.
It's like, oh, and I love that in that movie that she's like, oh, so what do you do for a living? I sell swimming pools. And he's reading about the structural integrity of titanium.
Well, now you're talking about Patrick, though.
Yes. Well, I would say, but that you were talking about the relationship between the two of them of how they mirror each other, and I don't.
I see. What you're
I think that the restrain, like the fact that Patrick is restrained throughout he's reserved throughout the whole movie.
Like
the only time that he's not is when he goes to kill. When they get what's his name, the guy that rips them off.
Sure.
That and then when he's doing business, he is not restrained. He's the exact opposite of restrained. Whereas, like Vincent in LA in the LA Takedown, he's not really like he does that, and then he's saying to her like, "Oh, I don't. You knew what it was going to be." And her argument is so much better because he's not restrained. And the other one, like he's a good dad, like he cares about what happens to her.
I agree.
Like, and her argument ends up being like, well, you're not around. Well, motherfucker, like,
But like, see, that's why.
neither are you.
Correct, right? So like, when you're talking about Vincent in both the movies, right? Like, in the remake, Vincent being like, you know what it is,
Yeah.
right? It is a strong argument because, first of all, you're my third marriage.
Yes.
I'm out of my mind. You know this.
Yeah.
You know, like he
You
said,
know
that,
I'm
like you
crazy.
know, I'm nuts, right? The Vincent in the first film, she's got enough plausible deniability.
Yes.
Like, okay, maybe he is not as advertised,
But she's also
not really though.
But she's also much more. Her argument. She's just a better character as far as like.
Yes.
She's not like. She's a nightclub owner who's like, listen, I love this guy, but you're never around, man. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm alone all the time.
Yeah.
And I get that. Whereas this one is like, well, then I fucked this guy. I don't pay attention to my daughter, where she never, like, barely talks to her daughter throughout the whole movie.
I think that Ellie Puget is the better wife.
Yeah.
Than,
Like, the better character. It makes
Diane
her,
Venora.
they try and make her, like, complicated in the other one, but the complicated makes her just more volatile. Like, and it's like women hating for no reason.
But see,
like, see, she's not perfect either. It's like, yeah, but she doesn't have to be perfect. She just doesn't have to be a fucking asshole.
yeah, I think the problem with that too is that like the remake gets a little more crowded.
Yeah.
Because Val Kilmer's girl
Yes.
is occupying this same space.
Yes.
You know, like there's no difference.
And does a far better job.
I know. And so like when you're looking at Hannah in the remake, when you're looking at Diane Venora, you're saying to yourself, what's she bringing to the table? And the answer is not really much.
Like, also, that's like one of those two. She's like, it also comes down to like Ashley.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but like, you don't blame Vincent for Natalie Portman trying to kill herself.
No, you blame the mother
Correct.
and the father.
Yes, the father mostly.
Yeah.
The father mostly, who's like...
But the mother's not helping out either.
No, but she's blaming the stepfather.
Exactly.
And she's like, well, you could be better. It's like, better than the guy who's...
Not here?
Who, like, that character doesn't work.
Yeah.
Because the stepfather doesn't show up.
Exactly.
So you're shitting on Vincent, who's there day in and day out.
And providing.
He may not
But
be...
he's not there.
He may not be there, but for that kid,
He's there. Yeah.
he's there. And like when he turns the car around and he picks up Natalie Portman, he's like, "What are you doing out here?" So I just want to be by myself. There's all these signs that she's fucked up.
Yeah.
Actually, the signs are so early on when she's
Yeah.
like,
Where's the beret?
she's missing minor clothing
Yeah.
and losing
Never
it,
mind. Yeah.
losing it. And her mother's like, "Well, you know, man,
Yeah.
you know, I'll find it." And it was like, and then has to like kind of correct after the fact. Vincent recognizes, and again, I think that goes back to like just being like that dude, right? Like, which I think is consistent across both films. He knows how ridiculous and fucked up his life is.
Yeah. Oh, he absolutely. He makes no qualm about it. He's talking to fucking to Pat about it.
Yeah.
To Patrick about it. He's like, this is fucking. This is that. It's like a therapy session.
Sure.
And
It's-
he's the only one that he's fully like honest with throughout the whole movie.
I agree.
Both movies.
I agree. They're both. That's the thing about like when you watch movies about cops and robbers.
Yeah.
We usually frame them in this way of like good, bad, right? And like that's still happening here. But you're seeing two people who are kind of like observing each other as like professionals. And
Yes.
oh man, that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Pretty good. Whether you're a cop or you're a robber in this situation. And yeah, the only time that those two get anyone that understands them, because it's not about being good or bad.
Yeah.
It's about being competent.
Yes.
These are the most competent people in their profession.
Yeah. It's criminal number one and cop number one.
Correct.
Like.
And the cop's like, "I'm gonna get you," and the criminal's like, "I don't know if you will."
Yeah, I really don't think you will.
You know, and like that to me is what makes both these films beautiful. And when we go back, I think I talked about this a little bit, but the entire premise of both films is based off the fact that here we go. 1 second. Up here. What makes both of these films interesting is that, like, when Michael Mann wrote the script for Heat, LA Takedown, whatever the hell you want to call it, he's basing on a Chicago police officer, Chuck Adamson, who met a criminal named Neil McCulley, who De Niro's character is named after.
Yes.
Who, like, they happened to run into each other. Had a decent, conversation, kind of got to know each other a little bit. And then Chuck ended up having to kill Neil. And, like, just duty. Like,
Yeah.
Neil was criming and Chuck killed him. Like, Michael Mann's ability to recognize it, like, wow, I took these two guys who seem the opposite.
Yeah.
But they're the same guy.
Yeah.
They're the same fucking guy. Like, you tell me, obviously you can tell me, but like, the hero, if you take out what they do, who is the hero in these films? Well, specifically, the De Niro Pacino. Who is the hero?
I would have to, it would probably be De Niro.
I think so.
Yeah.
De Niro's a better professional.
Yeah. He's professional and he's the one, he's much more goal-oriented. Like, and when he goes back, it's for revenge.
Sure.
It's like, it's
But
like, okay, you
it's
killed,
it's
because of you, 3 of my people got killed.
But like, when you watch this film, Heat, right? Specifically Heat, the framework, when cops get shot, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
It's like, they're nameless.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant. Like, a cop getting shot in Heat is like, oh, wow, a cop got shot. But when a criminal gets shot,
Yeah.
when Val Kilmer gets shot, the level of attention and background that we get on that, it's a problem that Val Kilmer's character is dying.
Yeah.
It's not a problem that a cop died.
Yeah, no.
It's just
We have no story. We have no idea what it's like. We have no idea what happens when Bubba goes home.
Correct.
Like, we have no idea what happens when fucking Buffalo Bill goes home. We don't.
It's between you.
And making some poor woman a widow, brother, you are going down.
But like, that may be the story that they're telling. But when you watch this film,
Yeah.
the heroes are the villains.
Yeah. They are. I mean, well, you definitely have more backstory with them than anyone.
Absolutely.
But Al Pacino has more backstory than anyone.
Yes. No, I agree with that. But De Niro is the most competent person in the film.
In the entire film. Who doesn't allow himself to be attached to anything. He doesn't, in the entire, other than the one girl. And but people, like you were saying, like, oh, because that's his downfall. No, it's not. His downfall is that he deviates from
the plan.
The plan of, I'm already away. Like, fuck this guy. No, he doesn't get to beat me. Instead of not caring if he beat him.
You don't quite get like that fork in the road bullshit scene, but you basically do, where he's like, he's driving,
he knows.
He's done.
Yeah,
it's over. He got it.
Got
and
away.
he said to himself, fuck that.
Yeah,
I can't live with this.
Yeah.
I can't live with Wayne Gord.
Yeah.
Fucking, like, honestly, in a lot of ways, though, that is a certain type of nobility, right?
Oh, yeah. That he's like, yo, because of this guy, 3 of my dudes are dead. Like, but 3 of my best friends.
In a way that you never get with Pacino, which is true, right? Many of his friends are dead.
Yes.
Because of the bank heist. We know what it means to De Niro.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means to Pacino.
Yeah.
Because, like, all the cops are, like, kind of irrelevant.
Yeah.
When Wayne
They
Gord...
hang out.
Sure. But when Wayne Gord does what he does, and you're saying to yourself as the observer, come on, Rob, just get out of there. Get out of here, Bobby. You're so close. But then when he turns the wheel, I'm like, no, I get that.
Yeah, it's like, I totally get it.
I get that.
I gotta kill him, too.
If someone took out my boys, right? Like, I had this perfect plan.
Yeah.
It was clean. And, like, some guy was just hating because he was cut out.
Yeah.
And 2, 3 of my friends died. You know what?
Sorry.
I like this lady.
Yeah, I really like her.
But go to New Zealand. Yes, I think you've nailed a perfect point. Is that the villains are the heroes.
Yeah, definitely.
Heat is more so about the the crew
Yes.
than it is about the cops.
Absolutely.
And that's evidenced
And frankly, they are the more interesting ones.
They are. They certainly are.
Yes. I'd be willing to say that this is the first of, like, really what becomes Tony Soprano later. You know, the first, like, real rise of the anti-hero.
I get that.
Let's follow this guy instead. I'd much rather see him. He's the interesting one.
But even, like, you were talking about that Coke thing, right? Like, De Niro is so put together.
Yeah.
Pacino is so sporadic.
Yeah, he's so sporadic. And
He's
also,
like-
you never see Robert De Niro having a drink.
No.
Like,
no.
all he does is drink coffee, and then he's, like, stern, and loves those, like, chrome suits, or whatever he wears. Those
Sure.
silver
like-
suits,
but, like,
gray suits.
His moral post, his moral guideline, even though he's a villain, is more pronounced and observable
Oh,
than the
yes.
police.
Absolutely.
Like, he has morality throughout the film that is reinforced and like played out in the way the police do not.
Yes.
He's actually a more moral actor if you go just based off, like, what is my philosophy
Yes.
than the police.
Yeah. He has much more integrity than anyone
Correct.
else in the entire movie.
Integrity is the exact
Yeah.
right word there. Like, because, like, morality, when you talk about cops and villains, but even, like, De Niro, like, Pacino's only guiding post is that he sees these terrible things happen to random people, and he doesn't think that it's right. However, that has nothing to do with Robert De Niro.
No.
Wayne Gordon is the villain, right?
Oh, Wayne Grow is definitely
Wayne Gordon is
he's definitely the villain.
the villain.
Like, there's not any redeeming quality.
Nothing.
It's almost like a character. It's a cartoon character.
Right. In both films, the problem
Yeah.
is Wayne Gordon.
Yeah.
He is not tied to the same moral compass.
At all.
And he's a cowboy. He doesn't belong to.
I'm sorry. Would you describe him as a stone cold killer, a sky blue badass?
If I was watching the 19...
Fucking Air Force One Secret Service guy, he is terrible. He is terrible.
He's
in
real
this.
bad.
He's real bad. He was so bad.
It's so early in the 89 film, though.
Yeah.
Like, after you get past the soft core, pouring half-minute intro, and Wayne Gordon's like in the car, like, yo, bro.
Yeah.
I could do it.
I can do it. By the way, I've realized this about LA Takedown. The whole movie is almost shot like it's a reenactment on Unsolved Mysteries.
Sure.
The whole thing is
like
it's like, what is, like, all the crime reenactments? Like, I'm going to go over here. Okay. And then he walked. Like,
yes.
And it's like, okay.
So, in the 89 film, Kevin Gage.
Yes, the crooked Secret Service office in Air Force One.
Yes.
That was him. Also, he was the head of CTU in 24, who got radiation poisoning and drove a nuclear bomb into the Mojave Desert.
Sorry. In 89 is Xander Berkeley.
That's Xander Berkeley.
Who's Wayne Grow.
Yeah,
and Kevin Gage is Wayne Grow in the remake.
Yeah, Kevin Gage. And you could clearly tell that they wanted Ted Levine to be Wayne Grow.
Sure.
And he refused. I guarantee he refused to because he didn't want to be typecast as, like, the serial killer. Because he was the serial killer in Signs of the Lambs.
Now, I kind of miss my first
He has to.
watch through, right? Like when the black hooker gets killed and,
Yes.
and the family shows up. Like, I missed that was the same person.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like,
Yes.
I miss that in LA Takedown because it's not a great film.
No, it's not.
I caught that in Heat.
Yes.
Because it's a better film.
Yes, it's a much better film.
And I was like, oh yeah, no, that makes sense. They're like, Al Pacino is being affected by Wayne Grow's crime spree.
Because how does Natalie Portman's story end that he sees happen?
Yes. Yeah.
He sees that happening. That's a great integration of Natalie Portman into Heat.
Totally.
It's like, oh, that's I mean, he cares about her, yes.
Yeah.
But he also knows how the story ends.
Sure.
You know, and it's suicide, or she becomes a hooker, or drugs, or whatever.
Right.
Like,
And it's in his own home.
yeah.
And, going back to what we were talking about, Vincent Hanna in both films, right? Like, I personally, and maybe this is my own bias as like a man or whatever, I personally don't think that it's Vincent Hanna's fault that Natalie Portman or his daughter or whatever is going down that path.
Of course not.
He's not
not the problem.
the father.
He's also not the problem. He's the only one in her life that is not the problem.
I mean, and I think that's what Michael Mann does really well in this remake, is he shows the mother ignoring her.
Yeah.
In the first scene.
Yeah.
In the first scene.
Yeah.
The mother's kind of like, and she's
terrible.
Like,
I mean, she just the whole thing is with her. It's
bad.
So poorly like rewritten. That part. It's just
Yeah.
that's the only thing that I could really think of.
Yeah.
That's worse in Heat. That it's like why make her like evil? There's no point to that.
I do agree with you. I still, as much as like the Natalie Portman thing, because it doesn't really add anything, by the way.
Who? Natalie Portman?
The Natalie Portman.
Other than stakes for him, that he wants to clean up this city.
Yeah.
Because even he says like, oh, I make what, like a marginal difference in the city.
Sure.
Which and he's like, he knows it. It's a futile effort, but he's got to make some kind of difference.
I
Right?
prefer the one-to-one relationship with his wife.
So do I. It's
in
my
LA Takedown.
because it's like, okay, if she cut and runs, okay, it makes sense. She would.
Yeah.
This other thing is like the kid's attached to her. She's a good father.
I think the fact that like, yeah, it's fucked, right? But
Yeah.
like, the mother is willing to talk to the father, this random guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, she's not really paying attention to her daughter, and like to put that back on Al Pacino. I'm like, look, I'm saying he's not a great
Yeah.
husband or father figure, whatever the fuck, but like, he's not worse than the person you're comparing him to.
Yeah, I mean, granted, the actress was better, but and also like the fact that they're trying to match her to be like Al Pacino's age, which she's not.
She's not.
In the movie, she's supposed to be, but she's like 45 years old. It's like you're too fucking old to be doing this kind of shit. What are you doing? Like cheating on your husband to get his attention? Go fuck yourself, you fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Like in that one, she's like 27. Like if she didn't even do that. But she just was like, listen, man, this is not going to work if you're not around. All right. Like,
right. But like, that's not like, so there's a scene, right, where she says to Vincent, more or less like, I don't know how this, basically like, I don't know how this is going to work.
yeah.
Like, you're not here, like, she says, how did I get caught up with you? Something like that,
Yeah.
right? Because it's the one-to-one scene where they have the fight.
Yeah.
But instead of there being like the physical altercation with the other guy, it's just Al Pacino and her talking one-to-one.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, I don't get how I ended up with you, or like why I'm still doing this. And it's like, well, your other man who you had a kid with refuses to show up for his kid. So like, pick your poison, sweetheart.
Yeah.
Like I at that point, it doesn't. LA Takedown, that relationship works better.
Yeah, of course.
Because he's not involved, and there's no other.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
we don't have to keep talking about it. Though.
I know.
Like
I know.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's much better. Like that part. But that's really the only one that you could possibly say that's better.
No, that is the only thing I can say. Maybe that's why
Yeah.
I'm so harped on it, because, like, when she's saying you don't get it, it doesn't make sense because her man,
Yeah,
who's
he sucks.
ignoring his kid. Yeah,
Like every other, like she picks, even the guy that she cheats on him with is a fucking loser.
yeah,
Like,
all that. Well, like when you
I never lied. I never cheated on you, bitch. This is the best line. I never cheated on you, bitch.
That's pretty good shit. Nah, you are right, Dan. Though, like I don't want to like run that character in the ground. I think we nailed it, right?
Yeah,
Like,
the marriage. I mean, it's just better. It's it's more believable in L.A. Takedown.
it is
much more.
Yeah, I think that it's more believable in the sense that that they are a one-to-one couple.
Yeah.
We see her beef is more legitimate.
Yes.
Right? Like the wife's
And she's
beef.
just a better character.
She is. She is.
Like,
And I think that the way that they portray that relationship is
Yeah.
actually better.
it's like less is more.
Less is more.
Less is more.
By like adding a kid and the
Yeah.
father and the blah blah. You're doing too
The
much.
kid's fine because it raises the stakes for him. But
Sure. But I think what happens pretty organically, right, in the Heat, the remake,
yeah,
is we start looking at character in the original film. You've got Peter Dobson as Chris Shirelis, whatever, and you've got Val Kilmer who plays Chris Shirelis. I like that Heat starts to make other characters matter.
yes,
LA Takedown is about two guys.
two guys, and then the Vincent D'Onofrio, not D'Onofrio, Vincent, what's his name?
Him? No.
No, what's his name? Why am I just blanking on his stupid name? Tom Sizemore.
Yes.
Tom Sizemore's character is kind of the same in both. He's kind of like, he's got a family and whatever, and buys her like whatever, but they expand on Chris's characters vastly more.
Sure.
That he's got stake. He's just kind of hanging out in LA Takedown.
Sure.
He's not anything. And by the way, everyone in this fucking movie is black slick hair. I lost track.
Oh, I was about to
You
say.
could have switched
Dude,
out everyone in that fucking movie for the other one. I was like, I wouldn't even know.
Thank you for saying that. When I was watching LA Takedown, I was like, who the fuck is who?
Is that a cop? And then the only one I was like, oh, it's Loser Baldwin. That was it. That was the only one I was like, it's not. And that's saying a lot.
The worst ball.
The worst Baldwin, and then Loser Baldwin. That's with Steven there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that that's really consistent, right? That like, when you're watching LA Takedown, what makes some of that work is because it's so condensed.
Yes.
Right? It's two dudes with slick back hair with the same fucking,
Yes.
Demeanor.
Yes.
They're the same guy.
Yes. And the guy that plays McLaren in LA Takedown, he is fucking awful.
He's pretty bad.
He is terrible.
He's pretty fucking
And
bad.
he's so bad, and then the relationship he has with the girl is so bad.
pretty
Granted, the relationship in Heat isn't magical either.
Yeah,
it's
but-
just, compared to that, it's fucking Romeo and Juliet.
I think that the acting is just...
It's atrocious. Like,
Yeah.
you're this high top criminal. He tells his girlfriend, his girlfriend, he meets her at a diner. She's like, oh, what are you reading? A book about metals. Okay,
Right.
weird. And she's like, oh, why are you reading that? And he's like, I sell swimming pools. And
Right.
he says, in the other one, he says he's a salesman.
Yeah.
This one, he specifically says swimming pools.
The swimming pools is
Swimming
bad.
pools. But then you're like, oh, why would you study metal? The structural integrity of titanium specifically. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I'm fucking selling swimming pools. Maybe I build them out of titanium. What? Leave me alone, bitch.
I know, he never, explains why.
Doesn't even try.
No, it doesn't
And well, granted, in Heat he doesn't try, but that's the point.
Right.
This, it's like, huh? Like,
Right.
I thought of it immediately,
It's-
and you're the criminal.
It's sloppy. It's sloppy.
Like, just say, oh, well, we built the pools out of titanium.
No, the Heat, again, handles all this better. Again, going back to, the Val Kilmer character, when you're talking about Michael in that film, we get his relationship with his girlfriend.
Yes.
Which is actually, a driving, storyline. It's not just some
Yes.
random... Michael matters because he has that relationship with his girl. Give me 1 second. I'll pull that. Ashley Judd is playing Charlene.
At her hottest. Well,
Oh yeah, she's
close.
pretty hot.
Is it this or Time to Kill?
This is pretty hot. And
Yes. Ice cream truck. Get a King Cone.
Kitty Cone.
Let's get a King Cone.
Yeah.
We get a fucking screwball. Anyway.
Yeah. But no, when you look at Ashley Judd's character, right? Who's fed up, right?
Fed up.
Val Kilmer is fucking up,
Yes.
right? Same way we see with some of the other actors throughout the film. But when Rob De Niro has to go and say, listen, you're going to give him one more shot. And if he fucks up, I'm going to take care of everything.
No problem.
It elevates
Yes.
De Niro's character because he's like, look, I know he's fucking up.
Yes.
But I cannot afford you
Yes.
to
You can't be doing
this right now. You want to do this
Yeah.
2 months from now? Have fun.
By all means. By then, he'll fuck up. Like, this guy's staying on my floor.
He knows he's going to fuck up.
He knows he's gonna fuck it up.
He knows he is. But, like, that is the stuff you're expecting from the criminal mastermind. It's
Yeah.
like, I got to button up these loose ends. And, like, he knows Val Kilmer's character isn't...
A degenerate.
Yes. He knows
Yeah.
he's a degenerate.
He's a born to lose guy.
Yes. He's a... You see me with a tattoo?
Yeah.
You see me...
Holding up liquor stores with a
Holding up
born
liquor
to lose tattoo on my chest.
That's Val Kilmer. However, I will say, in that bank robbery,
Oh, Val Kilmer's good.
puts in
Word. Well, we were talking about it before. He's just like, turning her, and like doing the switches back and forth. I actually like that when he immediately comes out and sees the cops there. He's like, smiles at him and just pulls out the gun and starts shooting.
I think that, like, when I talk to dudes, like bros that watch this, because, like, he ultimately, if you get past, like, the actual, like, real nuance and the subtlety of it, it's a bro movie. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Bros love it. And they, like, love Val Kilmer in it because he puts in that work. But, like, his character is actually really good at building out this universe because he's a bad...
Terrible
friend,
Terrible
father,
husband.
whatever
Terrible
the fuck.
father. I think he's married, right?
Yeah, I think so.
But even, and also he equates love with financial security. Like,
Correct.
and he can't provide any of that. And granted, so does she. To
Right.
some degree.
No, she does.
She does.
Because
it's one thing if he doesn't make money, but he makes a ton of money, but he blows it.
But Ashley Judd knows that, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at their scene, which I love this edition, by the way.
Yeah.
I think it's brilliant that they elevate this character.
Yeah, to have a motivation to do it with them.
Because, like, you could have not cast Val Kilmer.
Mm-hmm.
You could have cast Johnny fucking what's his name.
He was supposed to be someone else. I can't remember
Really?
who, but yeah.
But when she's like, this isn't worth it for $8,000. One, she understands
Yes.
what's happening, right? She knows what it is. She also understands his quote unquote worth and is like pushing back against that. And he's like, listen, bitch, it is what it is. And I think they're like, when you see De Niro's reaction to her cheating,
Yes.
it puts into context like, yo, go clean yourself up. Go
Yeah, her cheating makes sense. She's like a gorgeous woman with a kid, and then that like can have pretty much anyone she wants.
Totally.
And why is she putting up with this fucking bullshit? Whereas like Pacino's wife cheating, it's like, huh?
Right.
Like, huh? Like, okay, I guess, because you can with this fucking loser.
But I think, like, again, going back, sorry, this is the last time I'm passing by this. Pacino's wife picked wrong.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Ashley Judd in this situation is, yes, she may have picked wrong, but, like, their setup is really nice. Like, if you look at how, like, Ashley Judd and Val Kilmer,
their life,
it's pretty nice for what it is. And again, going back to that ambiguity about who's the villain, who's the, who's good, who's bad, they're living like people that are, I don't know, like financial advisors,
affluent.
like business people.
Yeah,
like,
affluent people.
I love that about Heat versus LA Takedown.
Mm-hmm.
They act like professionals.
Yeah, they're like the guys in LA Takedown are living in apartments that look like worse than mine. Worse than mine.
Yeah,
like
a lot of those are like the apartment of like Michael Manners.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure they are. That's also like one thing in LA Takedown.
Yeah.
Some of the scenes where they're filming, I don't think they had permits.
Yeah.
And they're filming in businesses during business hours.
Yes.
Like they're at the bar and like when they're like yelling, "Let me go to 7 and 7."
Yeah.
I feel like that's a working bar.
I think so.
And by the way, he orders
another one of those in a 7 and 7.
And he gets a 7 and 7. That is definitely not a 7 and 7. It's something in Coke.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
I just love the fact that he was like, "What are you drinking?" It was like, "I don't know." And then he was like, "Let me get another one of those," which I have no idea what that is, and a 7 and 7. like crazy.
But the set pieces. That was one thing specifically in Heat that is so much better. When the scene when they're setting the cops up to be exposed.
So good.
It's so much better in Heat just because they're doing it in LA Takedown. They're doing it basically. It's kind of an apartment complex courtyard.
Yeah.
And they're looking around and they come by and they're like, oh. And he puts it together immediately.
Yeah.
Then he's like, oh, what are they doing here? They were looking at us! And we were like,
right.
And Al Pacino's eyes looks around, he's like, the highway's there.
Yeah.
He has he's putting it all together and it's like, oh. They're looking at us.
Yeah.
He figured this out.
But
figures it out.
You see him go to that progression.
Yes. It's actually, that doesn't make sense. There's nothing there. There's no business, nothing. There's no escape routes.
Paper mill,
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God.
But in the other one, it's like, hey, the next line is, they know it.
Yeah.
So that's why I know what it is. They know it's us.
I think going back to what you're saying, two slick back hair guys
Oh, way too many.
are running around LA Takedown. And they're interchangeable.
Interchangeable. And most of them, I'm like, are these the cops? Or are these the...
Yeah.
And it's like, what happened to Daniel Baldwin?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Loser Baldwin?
Good point.
Yeah.
LA Takedown does not have the budget to fuck with.
I have a note here.
Sure.
It says, "Oh, Loser Baldwin."
Yeah, no, it's true.
But no, when we're talking about Val Kilmer and his whole backstory, the only part of it that's not believable, because I do believe that those two beautiful people,
Daniel Baldwin, Detective Bobby Schwartz.
Oh, Bobby Schwartz,
Okay.
my mistake. Because yes, he looks like a Schwartz, Irish guy from Long Island. Yeah, Schwartz.
One thing his equivalent is Ted Levine is Detective Mike Bosco.
Yes. Bosco. George's ATM pin code. Bosco. But they have the whole, the only part about the Val Kilmer, because I definitely believe those two beautiful people fuck each other.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah,
I do believe.
Ashley Judd and Val
yes,
Kilmer?
Ashley Judd and Val Kilmer.
That's very
And I also believe that she would cheat on him, with someone who's ultra successful, whatever, because he fucks up so much.
Sure,
It's
sure.
I can't deal with you. I'm a commodity. I could get laid somewhere else. You
Sure.
fucking loser.
Sure.
Go sleep on Neil's floor. And then the only part of it, I don't think Val Kilmer knows anything about football that he gambles on. Then again, maybe that's the point because he clearly loses.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's no way that he would care about football. It would never strike me as the type of guy be like, you see the Dallas game?
Yeah.
It would never happen.
But again, I like that Ashley Judd's character knows what it is.
Oh yeah,
right?
she knows the score.
I think the more people that get it, right, but know to shut the fuck up,
yeah,
just continues to reinforce how good this crew is.
Yes.
Rob De Niro's character is willing to throw a lot of people under the bus. He's not willing to throw Val Kilmer's character in the bus.
Certainly not.
Because
he likes him.
Yes.
That's actually, if there was a flaw in De Niro's plan and his whole model of never be attached to anything that you can't walk out in 30 seconds flat. The only people he can't run out on, his crew.
Yeah.
He's the only, that's it.
But
really.
He's genuinely hurt.
Yes.
When Val Kilmer decides to just bounce. At the end of the movie, because he's talking to the fence or whatever. I don't remember the guy's name off the top of my head.
John Voight?
John Voight, yes.
John Voight.
He's talking to John Voight.
John Voight, who is based on an actual criminal who is Mr. Blue in Reservoir Dogs.
Wow.
That's why they look exactly the same. Yeah. Mr. Blue was actually a criminal and did that kind of stuff that what John Voight does. And his counterpart in LA Takedown is the guy that puts the cigar out on Arnold Schwarzenegger's chest in Terminator 2.
Wow.
And I was like, that guy looks right. And I looked him up. Sure was him.
Yeah.
Fucking Terminator 2 guy.
John Voight's Nate, who is basically you always got to go back to him for whatever you need, right? When John Voight says it's a free country, when Val Kilmer decides that he's going to do his own thing,
De
Niro's genuinely hurt in that scene, but honestly,
he gets it.
Wouldn't you?
Yeah, what else does De Niro have? He has nothing else. He has he has this crew.
Mm-hmm.
But he also understands, like, and that's also a great part of their relationship. No matter what, she's like, don't come back here. Like,
Yes.
listen, and it's not because I don't want you here.
Right.
It's because you're going to go to jail. Like, they're watching me, they're right here, and she gets in the sly signal.
Yeah.
And he gets out of there. Which I also really appreciate. He gets away.
I do appreciate
He's
that.
fucked because he has no money. No, he probably escaped with some money.
I think he gets a little bit of money.
Yeah, I think he had a case with him.
On the way
he had
out.
he had a bag with him.
That makes sense.
Because he doesn't have anything saved, obviously. He's sleeping on fucking Neil's floor.
What's the fucking black guy's name in the remake?
Dennis Haysbert? Dennis Haysbert?
Yes.
President David Palmer?
Yes. And yeah, thank you. That's really good.
Fucking Allstate?
Yeah.
Pedro Serrano?
Like, again, what I think the remake does so well is when you look at Nate, when you look at Val Kilmer, when in the original film you got Clarence Gilliard Jr. who plays Mustafa Jackson.
Mustafa, yeah.
Who's that guy?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is that guy?
Yeah, who's that? It's the most random thing ever.
It's so random and it's so ridiculous. Dennis Haysbert, again, we take these characters who are part of the crew, they're kind of bit players.
Yes.
But like we see Dennis Haysbert talking to his girl the whole film, who's like, he just got out of jail.
Just stay on the up and up, stay on the straight and narrow.
And also, but like you see why, right? It's not like he just like, you want to do the job, Bobby? I'll take the job. He's like, my boss is a bigger criminal than I ever was.
Yes.
I'm getting fucked with.
And I'm trying to do the right thing.
And he is. And then De Niro, is like, hey.
I will say this. As much color as it gives you, like, this movie is 3 hours long.
It doesn't need to be 3 hours long.
It doesn't. As much as it's enjoyable to watch, you don't need his backstory at all.
You don't.
You don't at all.
I like that we
get President David Palmer in here.
But 2 hours and 50 minutes is too much.
It's too long. It's like
this should be a 2 hour film.
This should be 2 hour 15. You can cut out a lot of shit in this movie.
There's a lot of bullshit.
There's a lot. Like, you don't need Wayne Grow to be a serial killer. You don't. He could just be a scumbag.
Yes.
You already know he's a scumbag. He killed those guys in the beginning because the one guy was smiling. Which is, by the way, when he kills them in LA's Takedown, laughable.
Yeah.
When he does it. The guy's like, he doesn't even tell him to stop smiling. He's just standing there like, it's the worst acting I've ever seen in my life, and he won't. And it's like, why are you doing that? It doesn't make any sense.
Even the scenes with like Tone Loc and stuff like that, it's like, I don't get why we need all of this.
Well, you do, because the way they get onto them that's one of my biggest qualms with this fucking movie. It's both movies are so poorly written how they put two and two together. Like, they're investigating this one crime, and it's slick and sport. Motherfucker, I call people slick all the time. Doesn't mean someone's gonna like track me down. Like, no one's ever called anyone slick before. Yeah. That is so paper thin, and it turns out to be the right thing after the first informant you talk to.
Yeah.
It's so like, get the fuck out of here with that stupid shit.
Like when he's leaving, he's like,
yo, slick's no joke. Slick. No joke, yo.
What did you say?
What? I would.
Yeah.
No way. And it's the first guy, the first lead you're tracking down.
As bad as that can be, the fact that we get to see Val Kilmer's backstory a little bit more, we get to see...
See, that's important, though. That whole backstory makes sense. Like, because you need to... He's a member of the crew.
You are right.
You need to have his backstory, so he has a purpose in the game. Like, the other guy's just in LA Takedown, the guy that Chris is... He's just there. He's like, you want to do this? Yes.
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, we need to do this.
Yeah.
Like, there's no choice for me. I have to do this.
Like, Dennis Haysbert taking the job is just so that he took the job. And, like, we know his backstory because they want to make us care.
Yeah, they want to make you care and make you know, like, he's not a bad guy.
It's also irrelevant.
It's completely irrelevant.
You're right.
You don't need... He's not an integral part of the
same way LA Takedown was just like, that's the driver now.
That's the driver. Exactly. It could be the same thing. They could be in the diner and be like, yo, isn't that fucking guy from that job?
Yeah.
Yo, he's a stand-up guy. Yo, he was at the C Block. Yo, what are you doing this afternoon? He's like, yo, I'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Because
you don't need to know he's a criminal or whatever.
Right.
Like, you don't need to know that the diner owner's an asshole.
You're 100% right, because his wife or whatever being disappointed that he like dies
Yeah.
there doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter to the plot of the
because
movie
we
at all.
don't know her.
Yeah,
We
it
don't
paints a
know.
fuller picture of the character.
Sure.
Absolutely. But it's totally unnecessary.
But like, if you told me like in a behind the scenes, like film, like a DVD, like DVD behind the scenes, and you're like, actually, he just got out of jail. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting. Oh, that would have been a cool scene to see, I guess.
Right, but like, you don't need
You
that
don't
to
need
see
it.
it.
No, and in the same respect,
Because
and
we
they
gotta
do.
watch her look at a TV at a bar.
Yeah, there's
Like,
no.
yeah,
To see this, like, I don't care.
You're making points, bro.
Yeah, it's
You're
like I don't
making
really
good
give a
points.
shit. And then also, and say, like you don't need this. Although I guess it takes place to the point that he thinks that he ratted him out with Danny Trejo and the other guy,
Yeah.
his counterpart in
Yeah.
LA Takedown.
Now,
Which is like you don't really once he leaves, once he's like, yo, I can't be a part of this.
Right.
He honestly doesn't have to be in the movie ever again.
no, but because it's the same script. That's
Yeah, it's
problem.
the same script.
That's
but
the problem.
It's like you could literally when he's like on the phone, he's like, "Yo, man, I'm sorry, I don't want to let you down, but I got heat and I can't shake."
I
it."
thought that was it.
That's it, and he could be gone.
Yeah.
And then he's dead, like he's dying.
But see, they treat him like the guy in LA Takedown.
Exactly.
Who is kind of involved because he's like in
Yes.
the movie, but like
But you don't need him at all. And people are like, "Oh, well, it's extra motivation for De Niro to go
No,
kill."
no,
it's like,
no.
yeah, it's extra, but again,
But you don't need
extra.
You don't need
Yeah,
extra.
he fucked this up for me.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
he fucked up that first job. That's how the heat got on me because this fucking guy had to kill the guy smiling.
You don't need that extra motivation because of the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like in the original, I don't even remember what the fuck happens with the chick. Like after the scene and
Wait,
him.
wait, who? De Niro's girl?
Yeah, De Niro.
No, she just like
She's kind of like
she's in the car still when he. Oh no, she's not even in the car.
no, that's what I'm saying. Like in
Yeah.
the original,
No, I don't
where'd
think
she go?
Jeez, who cares?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying, right? Like, but that actually is the point. Like, who cares?
Yeah,
Right? Like, I like that De Niro.
but he has to have. I get why that's
Yes.
in there. He needs
No,
a motivation
I
to
do
like
get
for
that.
something better.
I do get that, but what I'm saying is that in the original film, right? Everything's kind of like connected. Like that, the guy who plays Danny Trejo's character
Yeah,
is in the film throughout.
yeah.
He's in the film early. He's not doing anything, but
No.
like they, I don't know, they connect.
But he's a part of the crew.
Danny Trejo shows up mad late,
Yeah.
can't do the job, and at that point, to your point, like, all right,
All right, it's over. Like he doesn't have to go to his apartment and kill him, like and Mercy kill him.
right.
He doesn't have to.
And like the idea that I don't know if I told him what I know about you. Who? Wait, what's your name again?
And yeah,
Who are you?
like oh, just do it.
The fact that, but before we even see Danny Trejo, we gotta deal with Allstate guys'
Yeah,
backstory.
whole life story.
And I'm sitting there like, why are we? Who is this guy?
Yeah, who gives a shit?
Who's this fucking guy?
Yeah, who gives a
you
shit?
know?
And then you could also like another part. As much as I enjoy it, but I especially love the line of I'm talking to a dead man on this phone.
Great.
It's great, phenomenal line and great reading of him is like, oh, this is an
But
empty line.
who's-
You don't need it.
Who's that?
You don't need that. Like they sell him the fucking thing. Boom, it's over.
Sells him.
It doesn't.
So some bearer bonds.
Barabons, and yeah, he risks stuff to go kill him, and he does kill him, but you don't really need it.
Right. You don't need it. That's the one thing about the remake that I'll say is that
And as much as I love that,
no, it's great.
Yeah.
Like, look, all of this stuff, it's cool
yeah,
that we get to kind of see extra motivation,
Yeah.
extra rationale, but like, does it justify a 2 hour and 50-minute runtime?
No.
It does not.
it doesn't.
Heat should not be a 3-hour movie.
It should not be a 3-hour movie.
It should be, like you were saying, maybe 2:15.
Yeah, it's like, well, we got Robert. De Niro
2:30
here.
kind of pushing it.
Yeah,
You know?
I guess you're trying to make him more badass because
I guess
mean,
so.
he's bad enough
But
already.
he's so badass
Yeah,
already.
you don't
like,
need
we
it.
don't need this stuff, man.
I guess he's going to. I guess it's like one of those. He's going to do it. It's trying to show that he's like why he's going to kill Waingro at the end.
Right.
Because he pretty much said that he was going to kill this guy,
Yeah.
and he does, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you know, his commitment is deep. Of like what he's gonna say. Again, he's the person with the most integrity in this movie. So
Yeah.
if he's gonna do something, he's gonna do it.
I would say that like Xander Berkeley's Waingro has more of like foreshadowing because like from the jump he was like,
Yeah.
here I am,
Yeah.
right? And I do appreciate that Waingro in the remake's a little more subtle.
Much more subtle. And actually, like, oh, that guy might actually kill hookers.
Totally.
This guy, he kills hookers because the script says he does.
Right. But like, and getting out, moving past the characters, right? Because we could go down a laundry list of people. You know, we could talk about Allstate guy. We could talk about all this. What makes the remake work is the budget,
Oh yes, absolutely.
right?
There's one scene that they show during the in LA Takedown of they show a helicopter during the bank heist.
Yeah.
That's when they're following. It is so clearly them just filming a helicopter on the street.
Sure.
Then they're like, this is following them, and they're running down like a residential street. They're
Yeah.
clearly not in LA. It looks like the street like Dennis the Menace grew up on.
Oh, God.
It's yes, the budget is. Although I will say this, I will give this.
Okay.
Of course, when it comes to the budget, I bet most of the budget for both movies. I did no research on this. I'm just willing to guess. Most of the budget for both movies is the bank heist.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you something. In both movies,
the bank heist is good.
yeah, it's good. The sound of the bullets that's how guns sound. Like
Yeah.
it's like pop pop. It's like a slapping bang.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like it's and they do a great job except for the bullet that kills Tom Sizemore's counterpart.
Sure.
That one when he shoots him in the head. That's the only that just goes like the like that's what it sounds. It's like this
That's
is
pretty
terrible.
bad. Yeah,
But
Tom
everything
Sizemore
else
plays Michael Chirito,
Yeah.
and hold up.
I think it's close to the same thing.
It's the same.
Yeah,
thing,
same thing.
basically. But hold up.
Sport and he kills Sport. That's the only time that the
Vincent Gustafaro plays Michael Chirito.
Yeah.
in the original film.
that's the only time. But the sound of the guns in both movies is phenomenal. And the gunshots and everything that they do, and it's amazing how much that looks like Grand Theft Auto before Grand Theft Auto.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Well, like there's this game called Payday. There's a game called Payday, which is basically a bank robbing video game where you play like 4 characters, and it's totally a ripoff of these scenes. Like you wear a little mask, like like whether it's Point Break or this film, like it's the same type of mask. Bank robbing scenery and stuff like that.
Every time I see those scenes in these movies or games, I'm like, this looks so much fun.
Yeah.
I would love to rob a bank. I'm never going to.
Yeah, of course.
But
you
I
can't.
would love to.
You can't. I think we'd be good at it.
I think I'd be great at it.
Pretty fucking good at it.
Which that's, I think I've told you this, but I'll tell the people at home, is that my grandfather's brother was a bank robber.
Yeah.
That's what he did for a living. His name is pretty famous, Willie Sutton. You could look him up. He's known as the gentleman bank robber, the actor. But he used to rob banks. Armored cars, he'd rob them. He went to jail like 8 times and broke out 7.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and made no bones about it. People say all these nice things about him, like, "Oh, he's a really nice. Oh, he was such a nice guy.
He's a gentleman.
He wouldn't try and rob. He would try not to rob a bank when a woman or a child were in there." And then I talked to my uncle who knew him. He was like, "He was a piece of shit. Like he was a bank robber. What are you, an idiot?"
Right.
And keep in mind, he tried not to rob it but if they were there, he did
Oops.
it.
I guess so.
I guess. Well, I was like, stop crying, kid.
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am.
I think that when you look at LA Takedown,
Yes.
which is the same script, more or less, right?
Yes.
It's the same script.
Same script.
And you look at Heat, same script, better actors, more
Yes.
money, you know what I mean? This bank robbing scene is so much better.
Oh, it's great.
It's like not even.
Yeah, it's night and day.
It's not even close.
Yeah,
Like,
it's great. But I mean, they did what they could with the other ones, and it's
actually,
not. It's watchable
for what it is. It's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
Right.
But they basically have all the same guns. Oh, they have the 9mm,
Yeah.
the machine guns, but they have like AR-15s.
I think even like some of the lines are like not better, but like when they do the same thing about like this money is government insured.
Yes.
Like when they say FDIC in the original, I'm like, oh yeah, that is what it is.
Yeah.
Like it's actually probably a pretty smart cut from the remake because like who gives a fuck like the actual government policy, but like I don't know. It's just so much more legible in Heat.
Yes.
And it is like one of those scenes where like people will sit you down like fucking film studies class and be like, look at this. This is how you shoot this. Yeah. You know?
But also the bank alone in Heat is far better. When they go in to rob the bank in LA Takedown, it looked like an office.
It does.
It walks in, and granted, some banks do look like that, but for the theatrics of it, when you're talking about the shot and the way you're going to make it, like him echoing while he's yelling, because it's in this giant, like, marble fucking bank, it looks so much better compared to, like, the fucking savings and loan that George Bailey is working on in It's a Wonderful Life. Like,
I mean, watching the robbery scene in Heat again, just remind me how good the robbery scene in Heat is.
Yeah.
Like for a lot of people, that is what they remember about Heat.
Oh, of course.
Most people don't remember what the fuck else happens
Of
in Heat.
course. That and like the coffee shop scene and them robbing the armored cars with the Jason masks on.
Sure.
The hockey masks.
Yeah, but like the hockey masks are better in Heat.
Yeah.
And like it's the same thing. Like again, it's mostly the same shit. But like,
it's better.
He just has better.
Yeah, and it's just like, and the bank robbery, it's the quintessential bank robbery that you want in a movie.
Yes.
Like this is what you want. They walk in, like in LA Takedown, he walks up to the counter, the Pat McLaren, and he's like, yeah, can I borrow a pen? And the guy's like, sure, and bends down to borrow a pen. First of all, the one thing that everyone knows about a bank, they all have those pens on a chain, and it's right there. So, no, and then he bends down, and while he's down, puts the mask on. They already saw you.
I know.
They know what you look like now.
Goofy.
Like, it doesn't matter.
It was goofy.
Yeah, and the whole thing is, it's like, that's why you killed the guys in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
He didn't want to kill the whatever his name is, you don't have to, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter.
Not Vincent, Tom Sizemore's counterpart. He kills them, and they both kill each other.
I ain't looking up shit
Yeah,
anymore. I'm looking up shit.
They killed it when they killed the guys, the armored car guys. It's because they saw their face. They saw his face. They saw Tom Sizemore's face.
Sorry.
So they were like, we gotta kill him now.
Yeah.
But he walks right in immediately. They're like, oh, I know that guy.
I think, like, even that scene, right? Like, if you go back to LA Takedown versus Heat, when that scene happens in LA
Which scene?
The armored car scene, right? They make an excuse like, oh, the guy didn't see them because he's basically blind.
Yeah.
Right? Like, pointless, right?
Pointless.
Versus Heat, where, like, he was hiding.
Yeah.
I don't need the guy to be blind.
Yeah, blind.
You know what I mean?
What's he doing?
Like it's just so goofy.
Yeah, it's the whole Heat is god, and that guy's smiling. He's like he doesn't even Waingro doesn't even question him like to stop smiling.
Yeah.
He doesn't even say anything. He's just looking at him like the guy's like grinning out of nowhere, like ear to ear. Like what is going on? It's so stupid. Totally. It is the acting in LA Takedown is atrocious. Mm-hmm. Atrocious. Like it's everything.
What's nuts is it's 90% the same movie.
Yes.
In terms of the script. I'm not talking about what you see, but the script.
Yes.
Right? Like, we were talking about the dining scene, the famous dining scene. There's two sides to that coin.
Like, I would bet 85% of that is the same thing.
It is.
It's the same thing.
It is. Him, like, but even you talking about, I'm a salesman.
Yeah.
Why a pool salesman?
A pool salesman. That's
just a salesman.
That just immediately rings of, but it's meant to in the other in American Psycho. I have to return some videotapes. That's supposed to be stupid,
Right.
Because it's so crazy,
Right.
Whereas I sell swimming pools. What kind of fucking swimming pool salesman wears Armani suits?
Look, I agree. I mean,
fucking Michael Mann loves that gray, silver, chrome suit.
Oh, he loves
with the no tie, white shirt underneath. He's all about and loves the name Vincent.
Vincent, slick back hair.
Slick back hair. He's about it, no matter what.
Yeah, that's his whole thing.
He loves it.
Like, no, I mean, look, the climax, the money shot of the film, in both films, is the bank robbery.
Definitely.
That is the iconic scene.
Everything else after, it's literally the aftermath of that.
Everything before is foreplay.
Yep.
Everything after is just like, I guess we gotta finish this movie.
This is the cigarette after sex.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And look, it works really well. It's a fucking phenomenal scene.
Yeah, that's the epitome of bank heist.
Totally,
it's great.
Totally. And in the remake, you get Jeremy Piven playing the doctor.
Oh, Jeremy Piven. Oh, but the doctor in LA Takedown immediately tries to extort them.
Yes.
And he does it with like a smiling face, and he is so confident for extorting men who he knows that these guys willingly killed several civilians and several police officers. And he's like, I think it's worth double. And then he says the
lines.
The line, it's worth quadruple. It's worth 4 times as much because I'm worth what I'm gonna do to you is worth 4 times more than anything you could be afraid of. Or something.
The guy exploits him. They pull the money out. He pays him double.
Yeah.
And he says, actually, it's worth 4 times that because I'm 2 times worse than the worst thing you could imagine.
Times 2.
Right.
So it's like, huh?
Yeah. It's bad, but times 2 because I'm the guy.
Yeah. So now I'm 4. Now I'm number 4, and it's 2. So you're the double worse, but I'm 2 times that.
Which is a classic Michael Mann script. Like, what are you saying, bro?
What the fuck are you talking about,
what are you saying,
bro?
Like,
and like you see,
would you trust your out if all this went down? I was like, no, I guess I wouldn't.
No, I wouldn't.
I guess I wouldn't. I don't know. Like,
and then he's like, if anything happens to him, I'm coming back. Like, if something happens to him, and like, first of all, this guy is barely in this movie, and then you never hear from him again. That's Val Kilmer's character. You never hear from him again in that movie.
It's like, part of it is I like that Val Kilmer's elevated, but then the other side of it is like, but why?
Yeah.
But why?
I like it. I do like it, though, because at least he gets away. Okay,
I do like that.
I'm a fan of that.
I do like that. They're like, it shows you what could be.
Yeah.
If you just... But also, it does show you more about De Niro. That Val Kilmer knows he's so obsessed that Val's like, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm out. I am shot. I am dying. I got a wife. I got a kid. I don't have a... Did Wayne Gore fuck us? Probably.
Yeah.
But I got $250,000 in my name. Or whatever the fuck, right? Like, he just said, I'm out. Now, part of that is probably because he's dying. And it's like, I can't deal with this anymore. But, like, when you look at John Voight saying, look, it's a free country.
Yeah.
He made his choice. You know, like, that matters and it makes sense. And you're right. It does elevate the film. But, like, I don't know. I go back and forth because it is 2 hours and 50 minutes. It's like, did we need that?
You technically don't need any of Val Kilmer's backstory, but I'm glad it's in there.
I agree. I think that I like that Val Kilmer is there because, one, we get extra star power.
Yes. I think it should be in there, and I don't think, like, the President David Palmer, Pedro Serrano's character, you don't need his backstory. You don't need Danny Trejo's back. You don't need his mercy killing. You don't... I like the mercy killing, and you honestly don't need...
consistent across
films. And you don't technically need the fucking... what's his name? Henry Rollins' boss. The guy, the banker.
That's just all bullshit. That's all bullshit.
Like, you don't need that. Like, you could, and it's the same movie if you cut that out.
Yeah.
And which is it's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, I like that part, but you don't need any of it.
Yeah,
And to further along the plot, if you take that out, it's the same movie.
There's a lot.
But if you take that, all those scenes, this movie is 2 hours and 5 minutes.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So you could leave all the Val Kilmer stuff in.
There's a lot of clunky shit like that. Like when you look at the scene where she's got a great ass.
Yeah.
Like that's
unnecessary.
That's filler.
You just need to know that she's cheating on him.
Correct.
That's it. You don't have to have anything else with Hank Azaria.
I agree.
You don't need anything. You don't, just that she's cheating on him, maybe that he's cheating on him with some hot shot, but you don't need to know that he got caught up on tax evasion or whatever.
Correct. Or whether selling cigarettes in fucking,
in Jersey.
I'm selling cigarettes in Jersey. I mean, that and
oh god,
all that shit is filler. And like, funny enough, it's all in the original, kind of.
No, that one's not. None of that stuff is.
Well, like what?
The Danny Trejo thing is.
The Danny Trejo's in the original.
That's the only part that's. Everything else is cut out.
The bearer bonds guy. Yeah, you're right. That is a separate part.
That's not in there. They give him the money. That's all.
Yeah.
And then he's gonna kill Wayne Grow, and the same thing happens. Like he jumps under he's in between the cars.
I agree.
And then he gets away, and then all the backstory on Pedro Serrano is not there, and then all the stuff with the wife isn't there.
Right.
All the stuff with Val Kilmer's wife.
Well, the Val Kilmer stuff is all
there, and then that's literally all of the banker stuff, like everything.
Well, like the Val Kilmer thing, and that's why I said like I float between I like it and I hate it.
But I like it. I think it adds to it, and you should have it because there gives him a stake. There's a reason. It tells you the stakes that Tom Sizemore's in it for because he's adrenaline addict.
I'll give you that, right? They're like going back to the Allstate guy and Val Kilmer. I love that I know why they're there.
Yeah.
Could I do it in less time?
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure. That's really my only.
Yeah, you could cut
but like
out
the Val Kilmer thing. I don't think you need to cut anything from Val Kilmer.
No, I think you can keep all Val Kilmer. Just
fine.
cut out pretty much Hank Azaria.
Yeah, Hank Azaria could be.
Brock Meyer's gone.
Yeah.
And you could cut out all of David Palmer's backstory.
Sure.
And then you could cut out all of. You could cut out all that shit.
Yeah,
it's all filler.
Like, it does feel like you kind of like seeing it, but then did you need to see it?
No, you don't need to see it.
You know, like.
But the only thing is, I think it adds stakes to everything because it explains.
Right.
And LA story, LA Takedown does the same thing of. It tells you it does the same thing for Tom Sizemore's counterpart.
Sure.
It's like, he's an adrenaline junkie.
Sure.
He loves.
No, he's just there
for the score. Like he doesn't really care about the money. He's there to this is fun.
Yeah.
And the same thing. That's kind of how they track him down because that guy was, Tone Lock.
Yeah,
he was saying he's, and he keeps saying about how he's not doing anything, and that guy's not going to not do something because he's going to get into something. So, and then that's whatever. Then Sport and Slick.
No, Sport and Slick. I mean,
but they give that just enough amount of time. You don't need to know it anymore as backstory because that's his motivation.
Sure.
Whereas he asks him no, which way you have to decide. Which way he's like, for me the action is the juice. Like okay, now he has got his motivation. Val Kilmer doesn't have any motivation if you get rid of his wife. You have no idea.
No. We don't know that in the original film, and I think that because of the way they shot the remake.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer putting in so much work.
Yeah.
In that, and the fact that Val Kilmer, like you said, getting out.
Yeah. But
it matters.
It matters for him. But that also adds a whole nother level to why Neil does it because he doesn't need to do it. He has the money. He has all his other money.
Sure.
He's not a fucking idiot. You don't see everything in his apartment is empty. He doesn't spend his money on anything. He doesn't booze. He's not gambling.
I agree.
He's not whoring it up.
But see, the thing though is,
so it gives him motivation at the same time.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm glad you said that though because Val, you can't really say it's not like Val Kilmer's being like an asshole, right? It's not like Goodfellas where the pink Cadillac, right?
Yeah.
Val's got a family.
He's got a family, yeah.
He's got a girl, and his girl's $8,000 for what you do, because she knows.
Yeah.
She's like, that ain't enough.
Yeah.
And she's not wrong.
No,
It's like,
she's not.
you can't be out here doing scores for $8,000. Like, you're too far along the game. for
Yeah,
that. Like,
exactly.
$8,000 is like, we're gonna boost some cars. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like, you're robbing.
That'll last
banks,
us a week.
right? And like, their house is nice. What's going on is nice. You're right. Like, if I step back and just enjoy the fact that like Val got out,
Yeah.
I could probably enjoy that. But like,
But
we spent so much time with.
Yeah.
De Niro.
But also De Niro, like fucking Pat McLaren in LA Takedown. There's no real motivation for him other than the money. But it's like that guy doesn't need the money.
But like,
he clearly does. Like, why would he need to?
The problem with LA Takedown is that he's not a real person, right? Like, Pat McLaren is just another slick back hair guy.
Exactly.
Like, he's not a... Like, LA Takedown's problem, when it arises, is who cares?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Yeah.
Versus Heat, you kind of care about everybody because they flesh it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I think, again, that comes down to actors, budget, things like that. But, like, you can't dismiss that. Like, Heat is a more competent
By
film
far.
in
Not
these
even close.
moments. Yeah, I know.
Not even close.
So I guess, like, that brings us to, because, like, we've talked about a lot of, like, that, what the framework, right? Like, the skeleton of these films. When we talk about the endings,
This is not even a comparison.
I know it's not.
Laughable.
I know it's not.
Oh, God.
You get the Trejo kind of equivalent, where, what do you know, right?
Yeah.
And Pat takes out his boy.
Yeah.
Out of kindness. Now again, I do like that.
They both do the same thing.
I do like that the Trejo equivalent is more. I do and I don't. I like that he's in the film a bit more, but then when I think about who kills him, like, I don't know, like, it's a little muddy.
Yeah.
Like, I like that they have that moment, and I know who that character is.
Yeah.
First, Dan Trejo kind of shows up late.
Yeah. But he also gives you that, like, listen, man, the last thing I want to do is let you down.
Yeah.
Like,
but
he's like,
I believe
okay. Yeah. And he gets out of there and he leaves.
Also, in the original, he fucks him over.
Yeah.
In a way that we don't really see in the remake.
Yeah. Because he's going in with Wayne Grove.
Right, right. Like, that's kind
And who shows up as Wayne Grove's partner?
Mm-hmm.
Shang Tsung from fucking Mortal Kombat.
It is what Shang
It
Tsung.
is Shang Tsung. Your soul is mine.
No, you're right. Like, the honor, quote unquote, killing at the end is like, don't leave me like this.
Yeah.
No, leave him like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he fucked you.
But Danny Trejo did it.
I know.
The other guy did.
I know.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo does not. So it's like, that's a weird scene too in LA Takedown.
Yeah.
It's hard to circle that square, right?
Yes.
Because he fucks him. And then he's like, please, come on, man, don't leave me like this. And it's like, wait a minute.
Why should I help you?
Right. But like, we don't have that interaction. Now,
No.
Again, that's a moment where like LA Takedown script suffers. And I think part of that is because it's not really meant to be a film.
Mm-mm.
Right? Because, like, you got to think Michael Mann's,
terrible.
he's running off of Miami Vice fumes. He's running off of Crime Story fumes. And, like, that scene is real shit compared
it's
to
real shit.
the remake.
But it's kind of the same scene.
It is,
just
but, like,
different
But the
backstories
context.
to it. Yeah.
The context. And context is everything.
Yeah. And then it leads you to the hotel.
Oh,
in both scenes.
Oh, my God.
In both films, Robert De Niro's and his counterpart go to, even though they should leave scot-free.
Yeah.
With the money and the girl.
Right.
Decide to go to a hotel off a tip from John Voight / Terminator 2 guy.
Yeah.
To go to Wayne Grove's hotel to kill him.
Yes. So Alex MacArthur playing the, our equivalent of De Niro's character goes to this hotel. Which, now, this is where it gets confusing again. Like, this is where the script, in my opinion, early on is pretty strong, starts to fucking fall apart. if you ask me, right? When he's like,
Starts? This whole movie is a fucking clunky it's a piece of shit.
yeah, you're right.
There's no starts. When the movie starts falling apart.
Yeah. We got Wingord, who is our top. He's going to come back for revenge. So let's tail Wingord, and then we'll know where he is. Because if we don't have him in the next 9 to 12 hours, he's gone. He is gone. Yeah.
Oh,
That's a mess.
it's a mess.
It's a
Why?
mess.
Why? And then so he knocks on the door. He's like, "Oh, plumbing.
I'm here.
I'm here for the plumbing." And Waingro doesn't once look through the people.
No.
He just, "Oh, okay. Why? My plumbing's fine." He's like, "Yeah, this is 537, 437's having leaking, so I gotta shut your water off."
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there, not avoiding the door at all. And then Waingro goes out, it goes in the back, takes forever. He's like, "Just getting changed," and clearly is getting a gun.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
gets a shotgun and kills Patrick McLaren
Right.
through the door. Well, shoots at him a bunch of times.
Sure,
Through the
sure.
and like blows mad holes with a shotgun through the hotel door, and then he avoids it, and then the cops are coming. Vincent Hanna and all them are coming up alongside him, and then he gets then Pat McLaren gets shot through the door.
Mm-hmm.
That magically doesn't have any more shotgun holes in it.
Yep.
After 3 seconds, and gets killed and dies in the arms of Vincent Hanna, going, "You had it. You were away. You were free as a bird."
That was.
And he dies. And then they go in to arrest Waingro, and he's like, "No, I'm not going." It takes out a gun after surrendering,
Right.
voluntarily surrendering. And Vincent Hanna tunes up the band and comes in like Shawn Michaels and sweet chin music's him like the sidekick, like ah, and kicks him out the fucking broken window of the hotel, and he
Gives him
and
the
falls
RoboCop treatment.
the RoboCop treatment. But we see it from the side. We don't see the
They weren't even that high.
oh my god, it is absolutely hilarious. Like he winds up, the guy pulls out a gun, he's like, ah, and Vincent Hanna goes, yeah, I'm kicking this motherfucker out the motherfucking window.
Y'all step. Y'all move one inch closer. I'm kicking this motherfucker out the window.
He does the fucking sweet chin music right in the chest.
Oh my
He's
god.
like, oh, psh.
Yeah, you're
Doesn't
right.
shoot the gun, just takes the kick in the chest. Whoa, 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 whoa. Like the fucking coyote. Like,
Yeah,
it is so funny.
it's-
Ah,
It's pretty bad.
get him. Oh my
But
god.
like, you know, what also fucks that scene is Waingro's making a good point. Look, man, it was self-defense. I mean, clearly,
Yeah.
I'm ahead. Like,
Yeah, he had a gun
the prosecutor's not gonna put me down. And like,
for that. And then he immediately says, well, you're going to jail for this other thing.
Right.
Ah!
right. Because
He
again,
gets kicked in the
in this convoluted way, he's like, all these other murders that we showed earlier are actually the murders that we're gonna get you for.
Yes.
And it's like, how?
How?
Like,
Who?
yeah.
Huh? And some guy's wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, huh?
A wife and a hooker, and
Yeah.
it's really weird.
Huh? You don't have any evidence on him. So, yeah! Just
Yeah,
kick him out.
that-
and then he,
horrific.
and then they're downstairs, and then Vincent Hanna's estranged wife comes out of the crowd because she hasn't shown up at any crime scene
Sure,
throughout this entire movie.
sure.
But now here she is. Oh, hug it out. Everything's okay.
Yeah.
End of movie.
That's a terrible.
It was, it's like you're building up, and again, that's why, to your point, LA Story is not about two men. It's
No.
about one man.
Right.
And Heat is about two men.
He
It's about two groups of people.
Yes.
And then their leaders. And why? How could you? Like, I was sitting there like, you're trying to build this guy up as the #1 criminal and the #1 cop, and you have the random psychopath
Right.
kill him?
Right.
What the fuck is this? The Wire?
it-
Like, you can't do that.
It was pretty bad. Like, especially when you consider the fact that Michael Mann gets to do a do-over and make the Heat ending, right?
Yes.
Which is just a much more competent ending.
Where you
right?
get the satisfaction of De Niro being better than Waingro,
Yes.
the random psychopath.
Right, this random dude
That he
we
just
just-
walks in, dressed as the hotel clerk, fucking kills him. And boom, boom, and the guy knows he's fucked right before De Niro kills him.
Look me in my eye. Look me in the eye.
yeah.
Like, yeah. So in Heat, right, the Val Kilmer thing sets him off, right?
Yes.
Like, Val Kilmer is dying. He's like, okay, fuck this. Which is another great reason to elevate Val Kilmer, right? So he goes, he collects his chick, and he's like, look, let's go with me. First of all, that part is kind of crazy because, like, this woman has no reason to deal with this psychopath.
Yes.
Right? She sees this photo on the evening news being like, this guy shot a bunch of people.
Yeah.
There's like 8 dead cops.
And
she's like,
this is date number 4?
4 maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
She's like, oh, I'll go to New Zealand with you because you want me to.
New Zealand?
Which means Bobby De Niro was doing some like grade A dick.
Oh,
like,
he
she
was fucking...
That bitch
babies
wasn't, she
on
wasn't
dick.
even thinking about it, right? So he's got her in the car, and he's like, if we're going to make it, John Boyd's going to help him fence out.
Yep.
He's going to help Nate, John
Neil.
Boyd is Nate. He's going to help Val Kilmer's character and stuff like that. And De Niro's like driving, he's like, I'm almost out.
You know what? I gotta make a stop real quick.
She was like, oh, I don't know why, because I don't know you.
Yes,
So,
I don't know you. Why? Oh, I just gotta go kill this serial killer. Why? It's personal.
Personal. Goes to the hotel where the police are like looking at Wayne Gore because they know if
And by the way, in this situation, he goes back. He knows the cops are looking at Wayne Grow. He knows.
can't help himself.
Can't help himself. He's
Can't
like,
help
no, I'm gonna get in here.
Which, to a certain extent, I get. To a certain extent.
Oh, I get it.
I just get it. Actually.
This guy fucked up his life.
I know. I get that. Because, like, the score was good. Like, again, going back to that thing I was talking about before we get into the real ending, my argument for this film is that Al Pacino, in a lot of ways, is the villain. Because, yes, is this crew really bad and, like, they murder people and shit like that? This bank heist should have been quiet as shit.
Yeah.
No one should have died. And would it have sucked that we would have lost a lot of money? Sure. But no one would have died. Except Al Pacino has such a hard on
To stop
for
him.
Robert De Niro that he's like, let's just like not plan this and start shooting at them when they get in the car. And it results in like 12.
But but Val Kilmer shoots at them first. They show up. They don't need to show up.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they weren't going to be there.
Yeah.
You know?
But he sees them, and as soon as he sees them, then he shoots at them.
But it wasn't like, I'll give you that you're right about that. But like, it wasn't like they were going to shoot the crew. They were just waiting for their moment to do it. You know?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying, like, bad guys robbing banks is not good. But, you know.
You rob something.
You know all their names. You know who they are.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. Like, you know what I mean? Like, taking, like, 20 cops to go in the middle of a busy street.
Yeah.
And, like, nothing about that situation was safe.
No,
there were
absolutely not.
civilians everywhere. A little girl gets picked up. You know what I mean? Like
in both movies.
Exactly. It's a messy.
As a human shield.
Yes, it's pretty good. It's a messy scene, but whatever. Like getting away from that. Another podcast. Maybe I'd argue that Al Pacino is a villain in that situation.
I think you could. You could make the case, especially because we made the point that Robert De Niro has the most integrity of anyone in this movie.
Correct. And like the job was designed so that no one got hurt.
Yes.
But a lot of people got hurt because the police got involved. Now, that doesn't mean the villains aren't villains. But I will say that, like, I don't know, the cops could have handled it different. But that's another story for another podcast, probably. So, this whole thing happens. Val Kilmer gets shot. Jeremy Piven has to give Robert De Niro his shirt. which is a great scene.
Mhm.
Rob De Niro collects his girl, and he's like, all right, John Boy's going to get us out of here.
What does Jerry Piven say? He's like, it was a gift from my wife or
Yeah,
something.
some bullshit
Something.
like
It's
that.
like,
Some
what?
nonsense.
You're gonna fucking just give the fucking mass murderer your shirt.
Correct.
Just shut
Just
up.
do it. It's a shirt.
Yeah.
So he collects his girl, and they're going to make their way out of the States using John Voight's resources, like
Yes.
the fence. John Voight, who's phenomenal in this movie, by the way.
Yes.
He's really good. We
His,
didn't talk about
his
him.
best work since Anaconda.
Absolutely.
Nobody move.
Now, on the way to escape, Rob De Niro's like, this wing grow shit.
I got a terrible itch.
It ain't
I got
sitting
it.
right in my soul.
Mm.
And the girl's like, do we have time? He said, yeah, I got time.
Yeah, I got time.
I got time. Goes to a hotel.
Oh, pre 9/11.
Correct.
You just get on a plane.
Yeah, anytime you want.
Yeah.
He gets
International flight, half hour.
he gets to Wayne Grove's hotel. By the way, Wayne Grove can't leave in both films
Yes.
because the insurance dude, who they're like selling bearer bonds to, has to pay Wayne Grove for snitching
Yes.
on the crew, and he has to wait in this hotel. So De Niro knows that. He goes to the hotel. He like sneaks past security, pulls a fire alarm, and then like says, "Yo, whatever." He says this whole plan. He's like, "Wayne Grove, you got to come out." Wayne Grove doesn't buy it. This is so much stronger in the remake. Rob De Niro busting the door.
Yeah.
Wayne Grove sitting on the couch. He's like, De Niro fucked up his face and got him all bleeding out his nose. He's like, look at me. Fucking look at me.
Yeah.
And then shoots him.
And then kills him.
Now, there's no planet, and I think that's why Heat is so much of a better film. There's no planet
That Wayne Grove gets
Wayne
the better
Grove
of him.
kills.
Yes.
I mean, there's no planet
No.
Wayne Grove gets the upper hand.
Yeah, he's smarter, more ruthless, like everything. He's
Not on drugs.
Not on drugs. He's methodical.
Yes.
It's like everything about it. He's better trained.
Yeah.
He's
I didn't even realize until like I was watching the scene that he was wearing an actual security guard's outfit.
Yes.
Like everything was perfect.
Yes.
Wayne Grove, boom, slams him in the head, shoots him. Dunsky, right? Better than Wayne Grove kills him in a cop.
No, that's so ridiculous.
Stupid.
And then kicks him out of the fucking
Stupid.
window. Like it's Shawn Michaels.
You're free as a little bird.
You're free as a
tweet,
bird.
tweet, tweet.
Yes, and then he basically he's with him when he's dying. And
Yes.
It's like, all right, but he's not like comforting him. He's like, all right,
No.
man. Like it's like almost like two soldiers.
Yes.
Like it's like I respect you.
Right.
He's not like everything was gonna be okay. Like he wouldn't be heartbroken.
No,
Like,
no, like this dude killed several cops.
Yeah, he
It was
killed
like,
your friend.
You might respect him
Yeah, you're like this
as a
guy's
thief,
good.
but like he's not a good person.
He's not a good. Yeah, he's a criminal.
Right.
Yeah.
But like again, I guess that may go back to like that
Of
guy's lunatic, you know, in his own right, right? So anyway, Wayne Grove dead. De Niro makes his way out of the hotel. He's got his girl in the car, and as he's coming out, Pacino's showing up.
Yep.
And De Niro sees Pacino. Pacino sees him. There's a little bit of a fracas or whatever
Yeah.
ruckus, and
Well, he pulls the fire alarm.
yeah, he pulled the fire alarm, and like everyone's like clearing out.
Yeah.
The fire trucks are coming. Pacino sees him. A fire truck goes by him. De Niro sees him. His girl like gets out of the car and is like, "What's up?" And he just looks at her, looks at Pacino, and he says, and he walks away.
Yep.
He walks away, which phenomenal.
Yep.
Phenomenal.
There's the heat coming around the corner.
He never gave up on his morals, or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
Yeah.
Like, should he have been at that hotel? Absolutely not.
No, he could.
But-
He could have let that go.
He couldn't, though.
He could have.
That's the guy he is. He couldn't let that go. Just like he couldn't let that insurance guy go for
Yeah.
fucking him over. So, like, does he know better? Yes. Will he do better? No. When Pacino sees him and his girl, and like, that's the whole thing. Like, the movie should be riding off in the sunset with my woman, and I did everything I needed to do. I retired, rich as fuck, and this girl who's willing to deal with my insanity.
Yeah.
Even though she knows I'm like a
That
basically
accepts that I'm a murderer.
basically, you know what I mean? And then he looks at her and he says, "See you,"
Yeah.
and he walks away. I love that. I
Yeah.
love that he stuck to his guns.
Yeah. Integrity.
Integrity, despite you being an insane
Yeah.
murderer, goes to like the LA whatever airport or whatever. He's gonna make his way out. At that point, Pacino's chasing him, and it's actually this is a really good scene too. Like them running through the
airfield.
the airfield, just kind of shooting at each other. As a plane goes by, De Niro goes to shoot Pacino. Pacino gets a beat on him because the airplane creates a shadow.
Yeah.
So he can see where De Niro is. Pacino puts him down.
Yep.
And De Niro, again, in a scene where you could be like, oh, yeah, the good guy wins. De Niro says, I told you I wasn't going back.
Yep.
Come on, man. Come on, man. This is fucking film. This is filmmaking, bro. De Niro dying.
Mm-hmm.
Fucked up. Did everything, quote unquote, wrong right there. But he got his revenge.
Yep.
Yeah, he lost his girl. But guess what? He didn't go back in.
But he got a girl.
He got a girl. And arguably, his life was probably going better than Pacino's.
Yeah.
Arguably.
Yeah.
Also, we didn't really talk about this, but Natalie Portman tried to kill herself as a daughter or whatever. And like,
Well, we did talk about it.
yeah, we talked about it a little bit.
Yeah, but then, he's also not really getting back together with his wife.
No, that's over. That's pretty much over. And
He's got his TV.
Yeah.
He's got his TV.
Now he doesn't hug this guy and say, "You were free as a bird."
You were free as a bird.
They kind of like dap each other up. It's like, he holds his hand.
Yeah,
he's like, "I told you I wasn't going back."
And he dies. He's like, well, I was going to wait here with the cop until the ambulance got here, but all right.
De Niro dies. Yeah.
And then Heat.
Heat.
Yeah.
Heat. So, going back to all this, right? L.A. Takedown and Heat are more or less the same script.
Yes.
More or less. There's more built out in Heat. That's why Heat is 2 hours and 50 minutes.
Yep.
That's why L.A. Takedown was like an hour and a half.
Yeah, an hour 33, I think it is.
L.A. Takedown was originally going to be a TV script, just like Miami Vice or like Crime Story, whatever the fuck. And Michael Mann was, in the 80s, the king of these serialized, like, crime stories, but like about cops that are basically criminals.
Yeah.
You know, and I think he does that really well. It's a shame that L.A. Takedown didn't really land, but fuck
It's not
that.
a shame, it stinks.
I know, but like, would you have rather had a pseudo Miami Vice that went nowhere? Or would you rather get Heat?
Oh, I'd rather get Heat.
Of course you'd rather get Heat. Heat is taking a competent script and showing what could happen if you had a budget and good actors.
Yeah. And I honestly think, though, he got the budget because he got De Niro and Pacino on board.
Oh,
I don't think...
Absolutely.
I don't think if they're not on board, that movie never gets made. That remake never gets made.
I think that, like, I want to give respect to Scott Plank and Alex MacArthur.
No.
I think that they,
No.
there are scenes.
No.
There are scenes.
No.
You're right. But there are moments where it feels okay
No.
watching a movie.
Oh, it's terrible. It is
There are
atrocious.
moments.
It's atrocious. What are you talking about? It's like, you brought me down here for this. That's the discipline.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's a flip side to that coin.
Okay, you're right. And that was the scene I was going to say was kind of okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
right?
awful. And then it's almost verbatim the same lines that De Niro
by
and
the way,
Pacino are doing.
The wives and girlfriends are terrible too.
Oh, yeah.
They're
everybody.
Everybody stinks.
It's with the it's really bad.
It stinks.
It's really bad. It's really bad.
So typically we kind of jump the gun here, but like Dan, should this remake exist?
Yes,
Okay.
100%. And they should remake. They should have this remade. It should be remade, and then they should remake. They should retitle the original. They should change it from Heat and Hot Garbage. So because it stinks. Also, we didn't even talk about Michael Rooker. And
No,
can we
we
talk
didn't.
about this fact? What kind of cop is Vincent Hanna?
Michael Rooker.
What is he?
See, that is hilarious, right?
Is he a homicide detective? Is
That-
he a fucking...
That's a great point because like when you watch all the like the media for this, they're like a different type of cop, like he's like a lieutenant, I think.
Yeah, I think he's a sergeant.
I don't know.
I think he's a sergeant.
I don't fucking know.
He's a sergeant, but it's like, of what? Like, what is he a sergeant? Like, if a cop, the cop that walks a beat and finds a body, he calls a homicide detective to go look at it. A cop that investigates a fucking bank robbery, if a homicide detective comes up, like across a bank robbery, he calls another division, and it's not
Sure.
the same cop. And he's covered all bases here.
Sure.
And all of them just so happen to be tied together. Like, oh, it was ridiculous. Let me tell you, they don't, I don't think anyone ever explains this to me, but he just so happens to be there. It's like, well, I gotta be on the street. And then why would he be the guy dealing with a junkie who killed a baby?
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
Or whatever. Whatever the fuck he's gotta deal with. It makes no sense. Like, what kind of cop are you? Like, he's not a vice cop. He's not a homicide detective. He's not a bank robber cop. Like, all of this stuff, he's just a generic cop. And he doesn't report to anyone, by the way,
No,
throughout either movie.
which is my beef.
Everyone reports to him, and he's a sergeant. That's high up, but it's not that high up.
That's my beef right there. Like, he's got the impunity to do whatever he wants.
Yes.
And he's terrible at it.
Yes.
Right,
He's using fucking police helicopters to go, like, get a car to pull over McCluskey.
I think that that's really my beef with, especially the bank robbing scene in the original film, right? Is that, like...
Yeah, now he's a SWAT guy? What the fuck is he doing? He's everything.
Right. Like... No, sorry. My beef with him in the remake, actually, is that he just does shit.
I just do things. I'm a dog chasing cars.
Like, when they get the tip and he's like, let's go!
Yeah.
And he pulls like 20 cops out, and like 8 people don't go home.
Yeah.
That's
People don't go.
That's a
and
failure.
And he, like, to track down Robert De Niro, he hijacks a fucking helicopter. And he's like, let's go. It's like, why do you get to run the helicopter? What are you, the cat? Do you own the police force?
Yeah,
Do you own the helicopter? What's going on? How do you have the jurisdiction for any of this?
In both films, they like act like these guys just can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they come across. There's no boss. He has no boss.
Yep.
He has no warrants or anything.
Nope.
Under no suspicion, he investigates them based on a snitch of saying the words slick and/or sport.
Also-
That's it. That's all he has.
Also, it's very easy to miss this. He's a former Marine.
Former Marine, yes.
Does that matter? No.
No,
But he is.
he is. Maybe with the shooting.
The shooting.
The
Sure.
shoot, like when he kills Tom Sizemore.
That's pretty.
Okay, so he's trained to shoot. That would explain his marksmanship. That's about it.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, sure, it's a good, but he should have some. I think that's a good character building thing.
But his wife.
His wife
knows he's fucking up.
Yeah.
The police force doesn't. Like that.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
That's
Like, what are you
tough
doing, man? Like, you have these informants. It's all so paper thin.
Yeah, that
Borderline harassment. Just so happens to be right. None of this would ever hold up in court, by the way. Yeah, we got whatever.
Yeah, but like
there are plenty of holes
sure, but like
plenty of holes in the story.
what works, and that's why Heat is ultimately a better film, is that bank robbing scene.
Oh yeah,
It's so strong.
it is so good, and the diner scene.
The diner scene is really good.
That you get these two actors of a generation.
Yeah.
That people have had. Who's better, De Niro, Pacino, and they're finally together in one scene talking to each other. That was a huge thing. People don't remember that.
Well, the answer in this film is De Niro.
Yeah. in this at this particular time.
In this moment in time.
Yeah, because he, like I said, if you
I
want
think
to
De
true
Niro
West
kinda
this,
bodies this shit.
yeah, he does. He's great.
I got 3 dead bodies on a sidewalk off Venice Boulevard, Justine. I'm sorry if the goddamn chicken got overcooked. What? Why did she stop cooking the chicken?
What chicken? What is this? What does that have to do with the fucking chicken?
He's chewing up so much scenery.
I was having coffee with Macaulay a half hour ago. Oh. Don't waste my motherfucking time! It's so, yeah, he's taking bites out of that fucking scenery.
Slick.
But,
Slick.
You get killed walking your doggy! Oh,
Yeah,
but
doggy. Yeah.
it's, until
The fact that that's supposed to be him, like, kind of interacting with, like,
and
black people, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you get killed walking your doggy! Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, it's really rough.
Yeah.
And, yeah, so that was Heat.
Yeah, so I will say this.
It's
that
bad.
Heat obviously
Oh, by
should
far.
exist.
Yeah, Heat should. The fucking hot garbage should not.
I think that for the audience, like, what we didn't get into enough was that the director and the writer are the same director and the writer.
Yeah.
Right? Like, Michael Mann had the script. He wrote it in 79 or something like that.
Yes.
Because he interacted with this cop and he said, yo, isn't that crazy that this cop I know ended up killing a guy that he knew, that he met randomly for coffee. And, like, he took that moment and wrote a script. The first time he wrote it, I think he wrote it for TV. Didn't quite work out, and that's why the movie's so bad, because he took a TV script and was like, I'm going to make this a movie.
P.U.
Yuck. Right? Right? Like, you can't, there's not enough fucking Phil Collins songs to make Michael Collins.
Can we talk about the fucking the soundtrack for this? There are 2 awful covers.
Okay.
There's a Sympathy for the Devil cover in L.A. Takedown, and then a Doors cover. They are so bad that it's like, and then the guitar, when he kicks the guy out the window, it's like, wow, wow.
Yeah. That scene.
Like, almost like Lethal Weapon, but bootleg Lethal Weapon.
That scene stinks. Like, again, going back to L.A. Takedown, in that moment, right? He's not your friend. I know you guys had coffee.
And mutual respect for each other's, like, occupations.
He killed, like, 3 of your friends.
Yeah, he killed.
Whether directly or not, it doesn't matter. But, like,
you were the godfather of one of those guys' kids.
But
like,
for you to hold this guy and be like, oh my God.
You were free as a bird.
It doesn't make sense because he murdered.
It is so unearned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is unearned. But Heat earns a lot of its moments.
Yeah.
I think Heat builds out a lot of things that, you know, make that script feel more complete and strong, because it is actually a very strong script.
Yeah.
It just needed the right acting and the right budget. However, 2 hours and 50 minutes is insane.
Yeah.
It's insane.
It's insane. You
It
can cut
doesn't
out a lot of that movie.
feel that bad when you're watching it, but it is bad.
Yeah.
And I just need to make that.
It's just unnecessary. There's a lot of unnecessary.
20 minutes. Take 20 minutes off.
Easy.
And I won't even say things like this.
Yeah.
But there are scenes, especially towards the middle, and especially towards the driver, the Allstate guy. I'm like, why am I watching him and his girl? Like, there's too many scenes of guys and their girls that don't matter.
Yeah, it don't matter at all.
And I don't want to put Val Kilmer in that category because that was actually pretty strong. But no, Heat should exist. I'm glad that Michael Mann, as a director and a writer, got
a redo.
Yes, a redo. Fucking let me try this again. That doesn't happen often in Hollywood, and they nailed it.
Yes,
and that was pretty fucking cool.
Yes.
So Heat absolutely should exist. LA Takedown probably shouldn't. But if you want to watch it, it's free on YouTube. If you want to see the origin of Heat, but like
it's free, but it will cost you.
It will cost you.
It's
My recommendation?
Unless I would honestly recommend just watching the last 7 minutes of the movie to watch him kick this guy out the window. It's so funny.
Nice. It was
but it's supposed to be like a dramatic. It's so fucking funny. Just
it's fucking bad. But like even when the De Niro equivalent gets shot, the length of his body flies back.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It starts getting real.
Whoa.
It starts getting real goofy.
Oh, it's good. It's hilarious. It's really bad.
But
yeah.
Watch the L.A. Takedown bank robbery scene, which isn't terrible.
It's not terrible.
But then watch what Heat does with the exact same scene.
Yeah.
And it is night and day.
Night and day.
Night and day. So yeah, Heat, better movie.
Much better.
I'm glad we watched it.
Me
glad
too.
that we could talk about it because, like, I don't know, we've often quoted that film.
Oh.
And now that we know, like, how it started.
Not Pacino. She had a great ass.
She had a, yeah. It's good shit.
Yes.
So, Dan, what are we doing next time?
I think we should do a little movie written by Twilight Zone creator Rod Serling and then recreated with Mark Wahlberg, Planet of the Apes.
Ooh. Planet of the Apes.
Oh my God, I was wrong.
Well, you finally made a monkey
out of me. Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. So, I'm Reggie Parker.
I'm Dan Farley. You can find me at on Instagram at DanFarley18.
You can find me on Instagram at RP Comedy. There's also an Instagram page for this channel called at Retro vs. Remake, which I'm going to get all caught up to speed. I've been lying about that for 10 years, and now I'm actually going to do it.
And leave a comment if there's any movies you specifically want to see. That'd be great.
Are we wrong about LA Takedown? Feel free to tell us.
No. If
Do you love Heat? Feel free.
If you think LA Takedown's a better movie than Heat, don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, you might not be our audience.
No, you fucking stink.
You might not be our
stinks.
And I might write Jeff Foxworthy jokes about you.
Yes.
No, that's great. Dude,
all right.
Planet of Apes, that's awesome.
Planet of the Apes.
Yeah, so that's the next episode.
All right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for joining us. Have a great night. Great day, whatever.
Yeah. She had a
great ass! Oh.
Good shit, man.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is Reggie Parker from Retro vs. Remake. Just letting you know that the next episode is actually going to be the film It. We're going to go out of sequence so that you get a Halloween episode. So enjoy It in about a week.